station.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
Guardians pitcher Parker Messick giving up 2 runs in the top of the 7th, snapped a 2-all tie. Texas goes on to win 6-3. Messick going 6 2/3 innings, giving up 4 runs. Skipper Steve Avoda how he thought the young lefty did.
I thought Parker was great. They did a really nice job of shooting him the other way. They were clearly sitting off speed early. Hedgie and he identified that, and they're blowing fastballs by him. They made a nice adjustment, just kind of taking what he was giving them and shooting singles the other way when they needed to. But I thought Parker was outstanding.
Guardians have now lost 7 of the last 11 games, trail the White Sox by 1 game in the AL Central. Reports out that James Harden declined his 1-year, $42.3 million player option for next season, so he'll be a free agent as of 6 o'clock tonight. But word is Harden is working on a new multi-year deal to stay with the Cavaliers. Besides Harden, other members of the Cavs who are set to become free agents tonight include Dean Wade, Keon Ellis, Larry Nance Jr., and Thomas Bryant. But however, reports say Bryant plans to re-sign with the Cavs on a 1-year deal. Brown's announcing that the team will do 9 open practices for fans during training camp. The first session will take place Friday, July 31st. The final going to be held Wednesday, August 12th. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next, half the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
Your day isn't complete unless you know how Cleveland fits into the national sports scene. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Are you trading Shooter Sanders when there's not much market for him? What are you getting back? And is that worth giving him up if you do like him? And I have no indication that the Browns don't like him. I think Andrew Berry really likes Shooter Sanders. Todd Monken has said good things about him. So it feels like this is year 2. He played okay at the end of last year. There were signs there. There were glimpses of potential. Why would you bail on him now? Unless he had a terrible offseason. And everything that the organization says was that he did not have a terrible offseason. That he was in the building a bunch and that he got better, and I watched him get better as the offseason program progressed, where I think it's a real close competition with Deshaun Watson.
And you got the Browns, Deshaun Watson versus Shedeur Sanders. So Watson has had the leg up, but as was told to me by somebody with the team, that Shedeur Sanders made enough strides where he's closed the gap at least somewhat. It's going to be interesting starting camp, and they're nowhere near naming a starter yet. They want to see not only training camp action, but some preseason game action too, to see what these two guys can do. Most around the league, similar to Murray, do expect Watson, the veteran, to get this job.
It's one of those where I located everything where I wanted to locate it for the most part. When you come out of the gate like that, kind of filling the pregame pen, it just feels like everything's going where you want it to go. It's a good feeling, so able to work deep in the game.
The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima. This is Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Hi, Tone.
Hello there, Kenneth.
Construction starts today. Where'd you get off at?
I didn't have anybody to say hi to on my way in, like yesterday. I didn't have any news gals.
So Lima yelled. Now we got to tell the story. Now we got to tell the tale. Lima pulled in yesterday in his fashionably on-time manner.
On the phone with you.
Yeah, on the phone with me. Well, you did have a reason. Your tire was going down, so you were a little later than usual, in which you had a tire issue. And he got off East 9th. And they had the reporter at Channel 3, and Lima yells while he's on the phone, and then like 15 seconds later, I happen to have 3 on, and you see, what's her name? Brissa.
Brissa Bradfield.
She turns and she waves, and Chud's like talking to her, texting Dave Janowski. I'm like, that was Lima. That was Lima yelling at East 9th.
I go, hey, Brissa! Gave her a wave.
I love it. I love it.
Justice. It wasn't Cam.
There's only
Brissa.
been a couple of situations where you've been, and you've actually done this before. It happened once with Meg Shaw. Oh, God. It happened once. Who's the guy on Channel 5? God. Not Holderman? Mike something?
Yeah.
Mike Holdman.
Yeah.
Holden. I'm sorry. I don't know the name. I apologize. Nothing personal. I apologize. But the one guy at Channel 5, you've done it too. Has it happened to Dill?
Jessica Dill?
Because we had Dill on the one time when the guy was mowing the grass out there at
Painesville.
I thought it was Fair.
Oh, was it?
Not Fairview. Fairport. The guy who messed with the grass, they gave him the sentence to go mow the grass with like a real mower.
The old school.
Yeah. So I thought that was one of the things. But other than that, actually, your record's pretty sterling. I mean, you've had like 5 people you've got to yell at while you've driven by.
And then I remember when the show started and like Crumpton would be down in Playhouse Square. I was like with our old boss. I'm like, hey, can we do gags? Can I just leave the studio and get on TV? And he's like, absolutely not. We cannot do that.
But we used to have Vic Get It in here, and he'd be doing his report, and the one day we're like,
while
hey,
the show is going.
just as long. Hey, you can stand there in the corner just as long. And then, I mean, they went to him, and you could hear him.
We couldn't do the radio
We
show.
might as well turned on a microphone, which he's a really nice guy. I was fine with it. We just thought it was funny.
He was doing TV, and it was bleeding over into the radio, and I'm like, well, we can't do the radio show like this.
Yeah.
There's a reason they have the baffleds, Kenny.
But I just started laughing. Our boss at the time did not think it was funny whatsoever, but I thought it was hilarious.
So they closed East 9th, and it's closed till October. So we have all these. Have these
October.
Yeah. It's closed. That off ramp is
thought
off.
it was like a couple of days.
No. So it's off till. There's all these things happening simultaneously, right? So you have 90 in both directions coming from the west side. That is a 6-year project, and are we even 1 year into the six-year project?
No.
So it's 10-2, and this is not for passive driving. With the way the walls on both sides of you are on 2 different parts of the freeway.
It's tight. It's tight.
It's a little tight.
Yeah.
And we don't even deal with rush hour, and we're complaining. So I can't even imagine what it is like during rush hour. Because if there's one accident, you're done.
That's what I think of. I get into downtown. It's usually about 4:50. And I kind of ass off in my truck looking at my phone for a while before I come in. I don't know why. And then I get in, and by that time, I mean, you're like calling me or you're already in. But that's the only thing I think of. I'm like, how are people doing this during rush hour? Like, this has got to be impossible.
And then
you take away East 9th.
And then they're doing the inner belts. This is how you start to realize how old you are. Is I moved into Tremont when they blew up the old inner belt bridge, and then they had a whole party for it. They had like a watch party or a listen party, and you could hear it from miles away when they detonated it. And then they worked on the huge project to do the enhanced inner belt project. Well, now they're working on the inner belt. And so it feels like it was just yesterday, but I guess it was like 14 years ago that they did that. So that is a 6-year project.
I know you can't stand in the way of progress. So
Bridges, and they're redoing everything. So the dump off on East 9th, the world famous dump off on East 9th, that so many people, especially the West Side, East Siders can always get off at East 13th or whatever.
Yeah.
They can get off on Carnegie a little further down to get into the city, and you're passing up CSU. But West Siders, especially ones that aren't taking, the Lake Shore or whatever it's called, that Owen gets off at, we all get off here. So now you have to pick a new way to get off. Well, so I did that combo, Broadway, Ontario, and you circle around, you make the right in front of Rocket Arena, and now you've got 2 lanes to make a left onto East 9th. And I'm like, this is my future. This is what I'll be doing till October. And I'll be sitting because they don't redo the lights.
The light pattern
sequencing
is not redone, yes.
They're not going to do that. So I'm just sitting there with 20 other cars while no cars are on East 9th.
Now I know there's a science to it and all that stuff. Do they wait to see the reaction of the people before they redo the lights? I think that might be how they do it. Do they see how many people come off to one lane or one other exit, and then all right, the majority? I'm sure they have the science behind this. The majority of drivers end up on this exit, and so after a couple of days, they're like, all right, we got to reset the pattern this way.
I want an expert. Who does this? Who's responsible? Who are the engineers?
There has to be.
Who are the people?
Not 6 in the morning. I don't know if those people are in yet, but. Well, I don't know. East Night's a big exit. I wonder if they are already in there.
Does somebody have all the monitors? Because I remember in Syracuse, we did a story on this, and I was in the control room, and I saw all the monitors years ago, and they would explain, we have hot zones. We have We have different ways to know when we need to change the light
Syracuse,
sequencing.
New York?
Yes. So,
that busy of a town?
Right.
I've been to Syracuse on game day. It wasn't that big of a deal.
What are you doing in Cleveland, Ohio to combat the changes? And who is doing the monitoring?
I'm sure the mayor's on it. Don't you worry about that, buddy boy.
Great.
I think we'll probably find out in the next couple of days they'll do something,
Can they change the Heinens downtown into a new control center that we can just stare at the monitors and figure out
That's a shame.
what to do? Because they got to get all the food out of there because the grocery store changed, so people downtown don't really have a grocery store anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And can they change that to effectively monitor the light sequencing? And the traffic downtown.
It'd be a pretty control center considering the rotunda.
Place. It'd be a beautiful place.
It'd be a pretty setting for you. So you be careful on the way in. It's going to be a mess.
Can I just ask you, Kenny?
Give yourself some extra time.
Because I can see when it's red in every direction.
You can say whatever you want. The only thing I'm about to talk about is Stephen Kwan.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Because he was given the green light apparently to bunt yesterday. But I'm sitting there at the lights waiting to go left. There are no cars coming on East 9th because it's been effectively closed. And then you see, all right, how long do I have to wait? Oh, good. The crosswalk counter just started. 20 seconds. I will be here another 20 seconds. At what point can I just make a left-hand turn on red? At what point am I allowed to do that?
I don't think it's a good idea.
It's not a good idea. I didn't ask whether it was a good idea. I asked,
I'll leave that up to you.
When can I just go ahead and go?
No.
Because that's going to happen.
You can't condone
I'm not going to sit there for 5 minutes every morning.
I don't think you should throw it out to people to ask them whether or not that when you can do it. I don't think that's a good idea. Especially if there's a Cleveland cop listening. He's like, okay, I'm just going to post up and wait for you to go ahead. In fact, I'll call Lima up and tell him when to take a left so I can wait for him later on the week.
What do you think our proud law enforcement members are going to be doing? You think they're just going to sit there at that red light?
If I knew I had a guaranteed ticket waiting for me with a loudmouth on the radio, I'd wait on you. I'd set you up.
What I mean is, when are they just going to make the left-hand turn?
Well, police officers, I mean, you got the sirens on for a reason.
Mm-hmm. The lights are optional.
Have you ever met a police officer to not go through a red light with just turn it on the flashers and the siren and then turns it off later on?
Just when they kind of feel like it?
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the gig, isn't it?
Conducting business.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know what they were doing. He's too busy to ask me, and I'm too busy to ask him. We're going on about our separate ways. I don't need to be a bother to him.
I always assume they're just trying to get closer to somewhere where they can latch onto the free Wi-Fi.
What?
Yeah.
Like a building?
You can always see when cops are just kind of hanging out by cafes. I'm like, they're leeching off the free Wi-Fi. That's what's going on.
I had no idea. This is new to me. Okay. But again, give yourself some extra time. Today's going to be hellish. And then eventually we'll get used to this and we'll deal. I didn't know it was until October. I thought it was like a week or something. Okay. It wasn't even that I was misinformed. I just didn't realize that's a long time, man. That's several months, obviously. I mean, it's spooky season by the time.
And if I get pulled over, can I pull a Diana Russini and reference a head coach to get out of a ticket?
I want to do it later. You want him to do it? I mean,
we're tying it all together.
You're doing everything you can to get away from the Stephen Kwan conversation. Fine, I'll do the Stephen Kwan conversation at 6:20.
No,
I don't give a damn. It's summertime. Give me Russini 01 in there. Give me Russini 01. I don't care. I don't give a damn. So Diana Russini, you got it over there, Russini 01. All right, Diana Russini, obviously she's become a bit infamous. Jason started hemming and hawing when we asked him about that last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a humming. I go, oh, okay. She is... She's not had a good year. It's not been a good 2026. And there was body cam footage of her being pulled over by New Jersey State Police. And she is referencing a text with Kevin, asking the guy whether he's a football fan. And it seems to a lot of people she's trying to get out of a ticket here, is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and hit it.
So, you're not going to care. I'm an NFL reporter. Just broke that Sean McDermott got fired from the Bills, and that is what I was just sending a tweet. I was going to pull over because I have to make calls.
Okay.
I know you don't care, but I'm just letting you know my reason why.
Okay.
It was a work thing, and it was an emergency.
So, obviously you were on your phone for a while. When you went under the underpass, I was by Library Place, so you're on your phone there. I got behind you, right, by Whole Foods. You continue to be on your phone, right? I understand you have a job.
Of all times, it's like no one expected you, footballhead.
Yeah.
Like, I'm shocked that they fired me. I cannot believe it. You know who was on the phone with?
Who?
Brian Gable. He's the most job.
Oh, okay.
Are you a fan of Giants or Jets?
I'm not a fan of either. So.
What is your team?
I'm a Vikings fan, unfortunately. Let's see it.
Can you see the name?
Oh my God. KOC?
See what I said? Look what I said to him though just now. Go to the bottom.
Oh my God. Wow. Pretty cool.
I love the Vikings though. They're awesome. KOC's awesome.
Yeah. He seems like a good
Your
dude.
quarterback sucks though.
Yeah. So he's got to get it. He's got to turn it around or someone else is going to get him. You heading home now?
It's not right now. I'm gonna go on TV and work.
What channel?
Well, I work for The Athletic, which is like the New York Times.
Yeah.
I'm doing something for Fox this morning.
Okay, cool. Listen, I'm going to cut you a break on the cell phone. I understand your job requires you to be on the phone a lot. Yeah, keep me updated with the Vikings, okay? Let me know if KOC is going to get a new quarterback in. Of course.
It seems, audio courtesy of the New Jersey State Police, it seems to be a little over the top with the name dropping.
Oh, a little.
A little bit. Did it or did it not work?
It did. Oh, yeah, 100% it worked. I mean, she took it from a guaranteed ticket to this guy fanboying.
Okay, Joe Thomas joins us at 8 o'clock.
Has he tried to get out of a ticket using none of the Browns head coaches?
If you get pulled over going 45 and a 40, could Joe get you out of a ticket?
Ooh.
Because I don't think, like Todd Monken, it's too soon. I can't say, well, we're still in the honeymoon phase. I wonder if Todd Monken could get you out of a ticket.
Yeah, it's a good
because it was
question.
alleged that she FaceTimed somebody. There was no FaceTime. But it's like, hey, I'm texting Joe. Would there be something that would get you out of a ticket to the Law and Order in Northeast Ohio? Would Joe be able to get you out of it?
So gritty.
Can I ask him at 8 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay.
Has he been used before?
Kevin, I wonder in the playoff year, I wonder if Kevin would just be like, why are you calling me for this reason? And then hang up. I think he'd probably do that to you or I.
It seems like he'd be annoyed.
I think he would be a little bit annoyed. Like, what are you putting me in this situation? What are you doing? I think he would be annoyed. Todd Monken, I think anything may go. I don't know what's going through there. Well, geez, you can't say that. Move on.
But, officers give you courtesy cards that you can use in different places. So can you get that from athletes?
Can we call certain
or famous people?
Can we call certain family members of yours and ask them?
You know what?
Whether or not they would be willing to.
I've never asked for anything specific from him. I'm not that needy.
I'm saying, does he think, he's retired, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Would there ever have been a manager, player, head coach that would get somebody out of it? Like, if he had pulled over somebody in 1997 and they're like, hold on, I got Mike Hargrove on the phone on my great big box cell phone. Do you think that would have got them out of it? Yeah. According to your person who I cannot say
Indians,
who they are.
Yeah.
Because he listens and he might text you.
Yeah, that might be the case.
That might have been the way. I don't know. It did seem to be a little bit over the top. Like, hey, what fan are you? What fan of what team are you?
Oh, she was ready to go.
She was ready to go right through the Rolodex to get out of that one.
But I love how she thinks breaking NFL news in this climate is big enough to get out of any ticket for distracted driving.
Wait a minute. What?
And it worked.
Yeah. Well, it did.
And it worked.
It did. All right. Get into more of that in about last night, apparently. You do that. As I crunch up the paper. I wanted to get to Stephen Kwan. Stephen Kwan didn't get it done.
Nice
We didn't get
inning.
it done. I'm going to get to Stephen Kwan coming up. Actually, can I give you a small defense of Stephen Kwan that I'm going to get thrown out of the room for?
Go ahead.
All right, that's coming up in 5 on the Fan.
Find
mosquitoes buzzing around. Then you might have Insuranoia. You should have NJM Insurance. They go to great lengths to do what's best for their policyholders.
Get the latest news from around the NBA as free agency gets underway at 6 p.m. Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Hey, real quick, is that trooper, the New Jersey State police officer who was talking to Diana Russini, you think he's catching any hell for letting her out of that ticket? You can't get out of tickets anymore.
Yeah,
because if you do anything with anybody, like if they pull over Anthony Lima, like, get tone, I'm a listener. And you're like, hey, and then you end up messing up later on in life.
Yeah,
that comes out.
Somebody subpoenas
you for God knows whatever you're gonna do.
They're gonna get a hold of the video. It's gonna be like, why did you let this terror on our community out of this ticket?
Well, because you're not a good guy. Coming up later on, good guy, not 8 o'clock. Joe Thomas going to join us on the show. Who does he have starting? Lima's got to pick apart something about rookie years with quarterbacks coming up later on.
I love it.
I have not seen this, so I have no idea what you're going to tell me. I know I claim there's so many people like you just claim ignorance because you don't want to get into it with the Shador fans. I go, no, guys, I don't know. I'm not sitting there looking at different corners of the internet.
Love the Shador
for all
fans.
this other stuff. It's not going to happen.
I can't get enough of the Shador fans.
Justin Termini going to join us at 9. Bobby Marks. I love Jaylen Brown. Apparently, Bobby Marks, who is a good basketball man, says, I don't know what I'm looking at. So we'll talk about that coming up here in about 20 minutes. And also, it's not just a good offseason for the Cleveland Browns. It's a great offseason. And that's not according to me. That's according to one major media outlet, which we will get to coming up here in a bit. However, I saw your video last night of Stephen Kwan after the bunt, which, I know. It was an absolute disaster mess. Just awful. I love the one reaction. Social media reactions on X are brought to you by
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Outstanding, which you had mentioned about the Stephen Kwan disaster, and somebody said, well, he should be really getting rid of David Fry, who sucks. That's how the person had written it. And I go, oh boy, we're getting to a tough spot here in the season. Yeah, last night was difficult. Last night was absolutely difficult. Now you have 10 hits. You should win when you have 10 hits. Okay? I think that they're pressing with runners in scoring position. I think that they're not walking, and that's the one. If I can give any defense to Stephen Kwan, I understand. It's so disappointing. It's gotten so bad. He's clearly guessing. He's been guessing all year. I don't know if he knows whether he's coming or going. I think he's in his head.
Kenny,
I think that the contract's in his head. I think a lot of things are there. However, there's one defense I got. Real quick, can I say this?
Oh, go ahead.
One little defense, is that they're struggling to get any run they possibly can. And he still walks. He still walks. A lot of these guys in this lineup, they're not walking. Now, I can't give you really any defense of David Fry, and I'll tell you about that here in a second, but it's not that we're focused on the wrong guy. I'm not trying to make David Fry, I'm not trying to make any of them a public enemy here on the Cleveland Guardians. But some of the stuff about Kwan, I'm looking at it going, well, there's only so much you can do. He's still good defensively. He's not good in the lineup, but he still gets walks. So he's become this hole that you have to bat around that you didn't expect you were going to have. But, I mean, he's been scuffling now the last calendar year. It's been a rough go of it.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Well, when they say, with all the tracking data that they have, that he has I think the first or second worst bat speed, in the last how many years? How does that happen?
I wonder if it's because I think he's guessing. I don't think if you go up there with confidence, don't you tend to do everything deliberately if you go with confidence? I say guessing. I just think it's maybe a crisis of confidence with the guy. He's unsure of himself. He's unsure of himself when to swing, when to not swing. Again, the guessing thing gets brought up. I think that he's going through it. The big conversation about what to pay him, if to pay him, should we not be trading him? Should he be a long-term leadoff hitter for this team? That opportunity at one point, because I remember, you and I, and we were wrong, I was wrong, advocated to pay him. Hey, you want to, if he wants $25, $30 million, fine, pay him $30 million a year. Who the hell cares? It ain't my money. I don't care. And yeah, Owen said we were nuts. Owen ended up being right.
No,
Zach
Owen
Meisel,
didn't say. He said we were nuts at the number, but
Yeah, but that's what I
everybody,
meant.
but everybody wanted him signed.
But I was fine with paying him.
There was nobody that
I was
like,
fine with paying him
let
that.
this continue.
I
Because
go, if he's this good of a leadoff.
This is the catch-22 of what the Guardians are always going to be. And I don't care whether it's Dolan, whether it's Blitzer, whoever is going to own the Guardians, whether it's Travis Kelce. It doesn't matter. Like, they are always going to be confronted with whether to sign a guy long-term at a young age before they're truly proven over a long period of time.
This wasn't the young age whether they're truly proven. I mean, he's in his prime now, and they've got past the whole arbitration, sign him early, Carlos Santana thing. And so now it's like, are we paying him real money, big-time money? Are you paying him $25, $30 million a year? Owen disagreed. Zach Meisel disagreed. However, Zach did say with us, he had mentioned, like, hey, you're not going to give him $30 million, but if he were to be a free agent or anything, like, somebody's going to give him that amount of money, probably in one of the bigger markets. That's their going rate. And now you're not looking at any of that. I mean, we're at 211. Batting average does matter for him. And still, the one defense I can give him is that he's good in the outfield. I give him two. He's good in the outfield still, wherever you put him. And the other part of it is that he still draws a walk. The guy that I think that we're not making a big enough deal about, and he's a good guy, is David Fry. Now, we can complain about both. I'm not trying to take the heat off of one guy and put it on another. Like David Fry, I thought before the show he had two options left. He actually has three options. John corrected me on that before the show. But I'm going, all right, I got Patrick Bailey. I have Austin Hedges. Austin Hedges is still hitting way better than he has ever hit in his career with the Cleveland Guardians. I got two good catchers there, all right? So I don't need him to catch. I have Cooper Ingle up now. I have my outfielders. I'll have an outfielder back when it comes to Angel Martinez. So what is your reason for being on the current roster or with the big league club? And it's like, all right, he's come back from injury. He's not an everyday type of guy. Can I send him back down to Columbus when he has three options left and give him some at-bats every single day to get himself going again? I think that is the more prudent move out of the two. We're more disappointed in Kwan because we expect way more from Kwan. I get that. But when I have David Fry in the lineup there and taking at-bats away from a young kid.
He came in and we thought he was Ichiro. This is now one of the worst players, like in the at least offensively.
Worst hitters, yeah.
One of the worst hitters there is in the game today.
I think the bat speed thing is.
And this isn't just a small sample size now. This has been building and building and building. And I remember, it was like a year ago, people started, sounding the alarm. Like the diehards were sounding the alarm. Like, what is going on? And clearly none of it got fixed in the offseason. And now it's in such a tailspin where nobody has faith in him. We are sitting here at the end of June wondering if he's even an everyday ball player.
It's not good. I'm not saying it's good. But if I'm picking between the two that I have more of a problem with being in the lineup, it's going to be, I don't like it that every time you go against a lefty, it has to be so overloaded, right? That part bothers me. Just because they're a righty doesn't mean they're going to go up there and hit. But that's a Stephen Vogt gripe that I have, I'll admit. But you had that game yesterday where, again, you get 10 hits in a game. You should be able to put yourself in a position where you win. Now, I know things got away from him in the seventh inning, but the runners in scoring position, what did we leave, 12 on base?
Well, the seventh inning is when we had a chance to fire back at the bottom half of the inning.
Exactly.
And they gifted us one with the wild pitch, and then, Manzardo couldn't do anything, and then that was it. And so then they come up in the eighth, and there's just nothing going on. Schneemann, what was that, a harmless out, and then before you know it, you have no shot. You're going into the ninth, and it's just like, and they're just this lineup right now after the injuries, and I know DeLauder's back in it, but after the injuries, they were already trending in the wrong direction.
But
now they look like the worst lineup in the bigs.
I need to give a little bit, and you're not wrong, but I think I need to give a little bit more time to get Angel Martinez back and do it. Jose's going to be a different story. Jose's a little bit longer because of the hamate bone. So I can't just say, get me to mid-July and then we'll have conversations. No, this is an everyday thing and an everyday struggle here. I do think that Jose will calm them down a little bit, but I don't think the season will be away from you. I think everybody will keep you in it as long as you can scuffle around and win a couple here or there. But I think that we're in some frustrating times. And I think with Kwan, the pressure of the contract has played into how he has done this year, how he did at the end of last year. And I think because of that contract situation, we are harder on Kwan than we are on anybody else. Because I know it started off like, okay, this can be a decent player. He can be plucky. Then he got really, really, really good for you. And the moment we start talking about contracts, things start falling apart. And because we started talking about contracts, it's like, hey, can we get any value out of it whatsoever? Like, he has become one of the biggest conundrums in Cleveland sports, because at one point it was, do you pay him? Yes, you do. How much do you pay him? Well, I don't know about that. Do you trade him? No, you can't, because we're a competitive team. Now you wonder, what could you get back even if you did make such a move? And at this point, I don't know what you could get back, to the point of, why would you go ahead and sell? Why wouldn't you just keep him? Because, again, he still is good defensively, and he still finds a way to get walks when very few other people are walking.
Well,
he
is not just good defensively. He is elite.
So that's...
But is it enough with the amount of holes in this lineup? Is that something, as we're sitting here thinking about another playoff bid, like they look like they have a great chance once again to go to the playoffs for like the 8th time in 11 years, but are you expecting to do anything in the playoffs when you've got this many holes in the lineup?
I'm not sure. When I say I'm not sure, you understand where I'm probably leaning towards. I want to see him with Angel Martinez back in the lineup. I think that can make a bit of a difference. It's not going to make the same difference as Jose being back in the lineup, and I understand he wasn't having the best year before he got hurt. But I just think he calms everybody down. The more guys that you can have any sort of trust in, it's going to be the better. And I think it's going to calm everybody else down. Because you still, even though there's guys coming up and they can be pretty exciting. Khalil Watson is young and can be a little bit exciting. Cooper Ingle, people are excited about, obviously. We've talked about Bazan and DeLauder to death, and hopefully we'll continue to do so. That's still a lot of youth that I still think needs to be calmed down. They're not used to these situations here in professional baseball. So it becomes pretty difficult to be able to count on these guys. And because we're a competitive team, I wonder if we're just asking a little bit too much out of them. But I just need more out of Stephen Kwan, and I really don't know of a place, especially when Martinez comes back, I don't know of a place for David Fry. 216-474-0092. 8 o'clock, Joe Thomas going to join us on the show. I like Jaylen Brown a lot. Bobby Marks, he says, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for the Ohio Turnpike. It is construction season, and that means you got to be careful out there. Make sure you put those phones down, because construction's going on. We talked about it at the very beginning of the show.
Cuyahoga County. You're not alone. 988 can help. Sponsored by the Adams Board.
Sign up to be a part of the fan club. Download the free Odyssey app and follow 92.3 The Fan to get all of the best audio and best stories sent straight to your inbox. 92.3thefan.com.
Well, I like Jaylen Brown a whole bunch. Still don't think still don't know if I'd trade Evan Mobley for him.
I love this debate going on right now in not only the NBA community, but it kind of expands to sports in general. But
because the war on analytics is starting again.
Yeah. So just you'll hear more audio on it, but analytics guys, I've gone to war with them about Jaylen Brown because I think he is phenomenal. I think maybe it's because the Cavs don't have any wings I overvalue the wing that is a two-way wing that, was NBA Finals MVP, has been an Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and last year, I don't know if he ended up first-team All-NBA, but would have had my vote for sure because of that team that ended up with, one of the better records in the league that didn't have Tatum. I thought Jaylen Brown was awesome. Showed up in all the big games.
So you're in my steady company that Bobby Marks doesn't think I know what the hell I'm looking at when it comes to Jaylen Brown.
I think on this one I'd be at odds with them. Not always, but I think in this case I'd be at odds with the analytics community.
A former NBA front office man, Bobby Marks, ESPN. He is a truth teller in his own way about Jaylen Brown. Hit it.
There's a spirited debate going on in front offices right now regarding Jaylen Brown. There's on one side, there is the analytics debate, and the analytics do not view Brown as a high-level player, a negative net rating over the last 4 years in Boston, -10 when he was on the court this year. And then there's the eye test, which I am more in the favor of, which is a player that finished 6th in MVP voting.
All right, so that's a nice little back door. Like, okay, well, I'm the eye test, and I think that he's good. So that made me feel a little bit better about Bobby Marks. We've had him on the show before. He's a nice guest. So when it comes to Jaylen Brown, the type of stuff that's being said, and he's seeing it, he's very angry, and it's making me want Jaylen Brown more because angry basketball players, to me, I think that they can be a lot of fun, and if they're really, really good, LeBron has looked. He is the very best in sports when he's angry, and he's the most impressive in sports when he's angry. When he takes over a game. Now, he can't do it like LeBron, but I think that Jaylen Brown on a lot of nights can take over a game if he wants to. But the analytics community believes very, very, very far fewer of them believe that he's a great player than what we would believe when it comes to Jaylen Brown.
You said angry. That's one thing we can't measure, right? There's no data to measure chip on the shoulder, the guys that use whatever his motivation. And this guy, he believes every time he takes the floor that he is the best player in the NBA. And while that's delusional, a lot of guys are delusional. Baker Mayfield thinks he's the best quarterback every game. Some of that can drive you in a positive way. Some of it can also hurt you at times. But Jaylen Brown is somebody that I can't believe that anybody with eyes thinks is not a big-time performer. Probably, to me, the last 3 years, he's been a top 10 player in the league. But analytics wouldn't point to that at all. They'd say he's not even a top 30 player.
I don't understand how he's not a top 30 player. What are the analytics that say that?
So a lot of it is on-off data. And again, I've used on-off data to talk about James Harden and why it's a positive. So I don't want to be accused of cherry-picking here. I think we're all guilty of it in some respects. Sometimes we'll gravitate towards numbers that point to an argument. And I've been guilty of it for sure. But when it comes to Jaylen Brown, because in Boston, they've had this great regular season system. We could debate the merits of it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But a lot of this data is regular season based. And because the role players in Boston have all been terrific the last 3+ years in the Brad Stevens / Missoula model, it makes his numbers look worse because it doesn't really matter if Jaylen Brown is on the floor. When the role players come in, they play like gangbusters. And so it looks like he is not that big of a positive. And to that, I would always say, yeah, let's see what happens in the playoffs when the ball is in the role players' hands. Let's see. Let's take Jaylen Brown out of the equation and see how that works for him.
It was almost the same argument we had last year during the postseason in some ways, and maybe I'm
The
wrong.
Ty
Maybe,
Jerome stuff?
Yes,
Yeah.
like you knew exactly where I was going on this. Like, I know that there's very few guys that are bar none, 100%. This is what you do the move for. This is what you do it for. And Jaylen Brown is not one of those guys. There is a good and bad and a push and pull to everything when it comes to Jaylen Brown. Like, there's very few guys. Like, if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was available, you just do what you can to get him. That's how it goes. But for Jaylen Brown, I think that there is a question there. And when you have those questions, to me, it's just like, again, what are you seeing? What are you seeing? Okay, but if I don't know exactly what I'm looking at, and there's a lot of basketball I acquiesce to you, okay? I do. There's times where I get caught just looking at the ball and things like that. I will admit that. But when it comes to him, all I see is a fabulous ball player, and all I see is a guy who has taken over a team before and has led them to greatness. And I want that for my basketball team. Now, am I willing to give up everything to go get that guy? I just question fit. If this were a different era, I wouldn't question it at all. Just make the deal. But I question fit. So he can be as motivated and a good player as much as I think he's going to be. But if it doesn't fit up against the Knicks, the Thunder, the Spurs, I don't think it's worth making that move. So I'm stuck in a rock and a hard place. Because if this is the best we're going to get, then maybe I just need to suck it up and go ahead and make that move and say, damn the torpedoes. Because regardless of how much I love Evan Mobley, don't love Evan Mobley, because of Donovan's contract, I could be staring the end of this right in the eyeball.
Well, I'll tell you, what's interesting about this conversation is the Cavs 2 years ago won 64 games, so all of the analytics pointed to everything they did was amazing, right? Yeah. Darius Garland, amazing regular season player, right? But as we know, what I think is getting obviously a little more challenging for fans to adapt to is we've never seen a bigger chasm between the regular season and the playoffs. We've just never seen it. Like the Knicks were a pedestrian good team in the regular season. Nobody thought they were going to win the championship.
That's very true.
And we continue to see this as teams that can kind of coast in the regular season but can also win a championship, while the Cavs, who were operating on all cylinders a couple of years ago, 64 wins, and by every model available, looked like a team that could win the championship. And then you saw them in a series. Granted, they were banged up. That was a big caveat. But when you saw them against the Pacers, against their physical full-court defense, all of a sudden everybody melted.
Because now I'm going to be stuck playing a guessing game. You watch, and I think a lot of us will do this. We'll see who is the next Knicks. Who is the next team that's a 3, 4, 5, 6 seed that you go, well, you haven't seen the very best of their basketball yet. Because the Knicks, I got to admit, I think even Knicks fans were surprised at the type of run that they were able to go on. And I think the Knicks fans and people who cover the Knicks were surprised by it. Because, again, I thought if anybody was going to do that, I really thought it was going to be the 76ers with Joel Embiid. I should have known he wasn't going to be healthy by the end of it again, and that was going to push them out of it. But we have spent the last how many years positioning in the postseason or positioning for the postseason and trying to be in a better spot, where the Knicks just went out there and said to hell with it, and they were able to take on all comers and beat all comers. I think that this has made it much more difficult to predict what guys are going to do. And that might actually be, Tone, that might actually be a reason to go out and get Jaylen Brown.
Well, I do wonder, like the bigger macro level question about a lot of this, and I wonder, our fans have been confronted with it when it comes to the NFL, because your team has basically, they've been one of the top teams in the league in adopting analytics and making it their identity. And they had mixed success, right? They had some success, and then obviously the bottom fell out for a lot of reasons. I wonder how our fans in Cleveland, Ohio view analytics and how valuable analytics are in 2026.
I think that to the general fan, it's still seen as arm's length at best. And I think part of that has to do, because you still haven't got it, you're going to hate this, part of it, you haven't got the Deepest stink off it yet. Because there was very little that people trusted with that guy. And I know, this is why I know you're going to hate it. Because I know that you've said he wasn't as involved and you've made excuses for him. But I think that plays into it.
Wait a second. I want to be clear. He was heavily involved and influential in building their models, of which many of them, I imagine they are still using. Remember, they're the people that were embedded with them in the war room. They talk about it's Deep Podesta kind of hired the people that set up the systems that they used in drafting the last 2 years.
Understood.
Like their models
Understood.
and their screens and what's showing and their predictive models of what the other teams in the league are going to do, but all about being able to leverage their assets in the best possible way. They all credit DePodesta for building those systems.
And I don't think everybody agrees with me. But obviously, I've had a great deal of distrust when it's come to Paul DePodesta. And I do think for a lot of folks, because you try to pay attention to all three teams here, I think that does carry over with some of the other teams. When they hear that word, you know you have to work with it. There's no way you can get around it. And I don't condone just gut feeling type of scouting. That's silly. But when it comes to trust, the poster boy for whether or not to trust him is a person that very, very, very few people trust in this town. So when it comes to analytics and you make that type of argument, I think people are going to be wanting to go the other way. Coming up at 8 o'clock, Joe Thomas going to join us on the show in 5 minutes. It's not just a good offseason. Hell, the Browns had one of the best off seasons in the NFL. And no, it's not just Homer Ken telling you that. We'll tell you who said it in 5 minutes on The Fan. Northeast Factory Direct hot tubs, the very best. Northeast Factory Direct saunas, the very best.
I 100% believe that the NFL all along wanted to say, no, we will not allow this. I just thought the lawyers would tell Roger and whoever else, like, look, like, we're going to lose in court if we do this.
Listen for the MMQB's Albert Breer, Tuesdays at 5:20 on Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
About the Browns offseason in about 2 seconds. However, there's people who are upset about the image that just came out about the Browns' new stadium.
Yeah, a few days ago, there is...
Let me see this. Daryl posted it. Go ahead.
There is this image that just shows how below grade...
That's a bad word to use. Below grade sounds like it's cheap. You gotta...
Yeah, the stadium, the dome, what it's going to look like if you could see it going deep into the ground, kind of like the big house in Michigan.
Okay.
And obviously, they have to do that. Why? Because of its proximity to the airport, and it's a pretty restrictive area.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. People were losing their mind are they mad because it's not going to look like this monstrous, palatial venue, even though it is going to be that? It's just built below ground. I'm very confused why people are upset about
A lot of people are saying it's going to flood.
Because of the water table? I assume they were paying, smart people to make those decisions.
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean,
to prevent it from happening.
It is made by the HKS. They've made several stadiums before. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just seeing the. I saw the image before. I didn't think anything of it. We all heard it was going to be below ground. This is very low. But you have to because you're kind of close to the airport there. So they're mad about. I just think that there's a general malaise over anything for the future for some folks out there, and they got to go out there and they got to win. And once they start winning, people will start to come around. But they got to win. There's one way to it, and that's winning. If you're not winning by the time the new stadium comes out, people aren't going to be that excited. That's all there is to it. Like the whole thing about, they're building for 29. No, they got to be. They damn sure better be building for at least a little bit sooner. I can understand 26 being kind of like, we'll see where we're at here. But you got to be coming around by the time 28 comes around, because if we're building for 29. So wait a minute. So they've been saying they're going to be good for 30 years, and they haven't been good. Now we're going to believe them because they're going into a new stadium. Like the Indians of the 90s didn't start building in 1994. They started building in around 1988, 89 is when they started to do it, probably even sooner than that.
Also, I just think it's common sense, like to sell the tickets at the prices they're most likely going to be at. They're most likely, almost assuredly, going to be more expensive than the tickets you've ever paid for Browns games. And then you add the PSLs. Like, they know they've got to convince people to do that. Well, what's one way not to convince people to buy tickets to the new stadium? Have the team be horrific the year before.
Yeah, that's not going to be fun for anybody.
So it's just common sense. But yes, the Browns are always, in certain windows trying to win. Just like I think every professional team, as long as they're spending some money, is attempting to win. I'm just so confused why, looking at that stadium,
maybe they just
those
thought
plans, people are going after them.
You see Lucas Oil Stadium from miles out, miles out. It's this big, imposing figure.
It's also Indy. It's not exactly the hilliest of areas. And they don't exactly have the most buildings downtown.
Kind of flat. That's right. Like it doesn't stand out. It stands out. This will not stand out crazily, but you have an airport right there. So it really can't be allowed to stand out, but I'm sure the inside's going to be opulent. I have as many concerns as most people about flooding, but I'm no engineer. I would hope that they take care of that by the time things come around there. Also reminding you, East Ninth exit is closed from 90, so if you're on your way in, good luck to you. God bless you today and many days ahead. I did not realize this was until October when they will have East Ninth exit closed. So if you guys can find a good way to get into the city, into downtown, I would probably keep it to yourself because I wouldn't want to be telling everybody else the secret. So I was going to say, go ahead and share your secret. I don't know if I would do so. 216-474-0092. I throw out the number for this. Do you believe the Browns had a good offseason? Article came out from The Athletic. The winners and the losers of the 2026 offseason. Mike Jones, this is yesterday, courtesy of The Athletic. The winners, the Los Angeles Rams. Why are the Los Angeles Rams offseason winners, Tone?
Because they got Myles Garrett?
Because they got Myles Garrett. So you would expect that we would be on the other side of the ledger with the losers. However, the Ravens are listed second at number 3 of the offseason winners. Your Cleveland Browns. They had to settle for a backup option, Todd Monken as coach. That's what this says. And they remain handcuffed to quarterback Deshaun Watson and his awful contract. But the Browns did get a lot done this offseason, and those efforts give the franchise a chance to take a step forward over the next couple of offseasons. The Browns hated to trade Garrett, one of the best and most beloved players in franchise history, but they did receive salary cap relief, a talented pass rusher in Jared Verse, and additional building blocks in the form of draft picks. The move, coupled with a much-needed offensive line overhaul and a promising draft, should land the Browns in a better place. Should land the Browns in a better place here. It continues. It remains to be seen whether Monken can help revive Watson's career or position Shedeur Sanders for growth if Watson falls short or gets hurt again. But veteran offensive lineman Titus Howard, Elton Jenkins, and Zion Johnson, rookie wide receivers Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston, and safety Emmanuel McNeil Warren, along with Verse, give the Browns a strong core of new contributors to build around. Also, they mentioned the Cowboys, who are in those offseason winners. The Raiders, because they couldn't go anywhere else but up. Those are the 5 listed as winners in this offseason. And when I told you, you rolled your eyes
I just
and said, here we go.
I asked, how are you going to celebrate this offseason win this year? What were you? Are you planning?
A little bit of the bubbly?
Are you? Yeah. Are you putting any kind of banner up? Are you doing a parade?
This is my problem.
How should we as Browns fans react to this?
This is my problem. This is my problem. Is that if I go celebrating this, you throw this in my face during the regular season. So let me tell you this. I celebrate this offseason with absolutely zero hope that I will celebrate during the regular season this offseason. I'm serious. I should say there's hope. I should say zero expectation. Zero expectation.
I think they have had a really good offseason. I think it's also when you're in this situation, when you're tearing something down and building, and I said this when they went 0-16 and 1-15. The easy part is the teardown. It's easy to get a lot of draft picks.
But I don't think that they're tearing down here. Well, the Myles Garrett would be a teardown.
Well,
but
they're going to trade Denzel
You've added
Ward.
some young players.
That's next. That's part of the teardown.
We don't know necessarily that they're going to.
I do. They're going to trade him.
If they don't find what they don't want, they're not going to trade the guy. I don't think it's that simple.
I do think it's simple. I do think that Denzel Ward will not finish this season as a Cleveland Brown.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think it's simple. I don't think he's just gone and that's it. I just don't think it's as simple as you make it out to be.
I do. It's very easy.
Terry and Arnold being cut by the Lions makes it a little bit more simple. But
see that,
according to what we heard from Matt Derry yesterday, they're probably going to try to go in a cheaper direction before they squeeze that trigger on going after.
I thought it's more likely going to be by the deadline.
Bad choice of words considering what Terry and Arnold's accused of. Sorry.
I do think it's more likely by the deadline, but either way, I'd be pretty shocked if he is a member of the Browns because they're in value, they're asset accumulation mode. That's the goal, to get as many draft picks over a certain amount of time and to just throw as many darts as possible.
But I don't think they're in a full teardown. If we were doing the same thing as what we did in 2016 and 17, I have to learn from that history, and I have to go, whoa. I can't sit here and be all excited. But you have not punted on these drafts the way you had done years ago. You did not punt on the draft.
What do you mean punt on the draft?
Giving up all the draft picks for future draft picks, like what they did. That was even during the Lombardi era, where they had, the 2013 draft, would you have like 5 picks out of that, and they moved everything on to 2014 and 15 and beyond. It's not about that. I thought that last year's draft class looked pretty decent. I know that there's a big gaping hole there in the 3rd round, for crying out loud, but regardless. Then you get to this year's draft. It looks promising, but they haven't played yet. So I'm saying is I want to be able to be excited, but I don't want to sit there and have to pay for it during the regular season because I know what you do and I know what he's usually going to do. Now, he's not here today. He's over in Cooperstown.
Do you think they're going to be good this year?
No, okay. I don't think they're going to be really good. But I can also look at this. Can I admit that this is the truth, that good teams are not just built overnight? Didn't we just talk about this with the stadium here? Like, you can't wait until the offseason before 2029 and then go, okay, now we're going to be good. No. But I can look at this offseason and say, this was a really, really, really good offseason for them. It has to pay off in the future, but I don't think it's going to pay off, quote unquote, with wins this year.
Look,
is that not true? Is that not fair to say, or am I going to get attacked for that?
No, I thought, 3 years ago, the Jets, had a couple of decent drafts. The Saints had.
The Jets are a horrific example for me.
It doesn't mean that they're going to turn it around. Obviously, a lot of it man, like feels like 90% of it is predicated on the quarterback that you end up getting, because you can draft a ton of players, but you also have to do it at the right positions too, right? Like, it's great that they got Carson Schlesinger, but linebackers don't win you games in the NFL. Like, it's pass rush, and they do have a young, talented pass rusher that they brought in.
My dad's listening. He agrees with you. He thinks I'm full of it.
Well,
Go ahead.
But listen, they have made the moves. Like, to me, it was prudent to trade Myles Garrett. I'm not digging them on trading Myles Garrett. I was saying they should have traded Myles Garrett a year ago.
Let me ask you guys. I'll do as you tell me. 216-474-0092. I'm serious. As you're sitting in traffic because you can't get off the East 9th exit, The Athletic says you had a good offseason. Now, I know we've had jokes about it before, okay? The off-season schedule. Are you guys just going to force me to say they suck until they no longer suck on the win-loss schedule? Is that what it is? Do I have to say that they're terrible until they're not terrible on the win-loss schedule? Or can I not say that they're building up towards something? Like, is there any room for any dialogue whatsoever, or am I just an excuse maker for the Cleveland Browns then? Is that it? I'm serious. Hold my feet to the fire on that, Tone, because I did not say at all it's going to translate into wins in 2026. In fact, I don't believe it will. I think you're a 6-win football team as it sits right now, which is not the worst. It's not going to give you the number 1 overall pick, but you're certainly not the best. You're one better than what you were last year. If I'm saying that they're a 6-win football team, I can still look at it and go, this was a good offseason. This offseason, if they make the right choice, if either one of these two quarterbacks play well or they make the right choice next year, it should pan out for the future. It should. Now, best laid plans, but it should do that. I don't know why I can't say it was a good offseason and still go, yeah, you're going to win 6 games, but you had a good offseason. Didn't the Dallas Cowboys have a good offseason before they went 1-15?
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's just funny the way it was framed in the article that you read. They're like, well, they got the backup. They got the backup head coach. They don't have a quarterback. They got rid of Myles Garrett. Hey, they won the offseason. Like, it's an interesting framing.
It says that should position them for the future, and it does mention a couple of the people that are young that they like.
What are the most important things you can have on a football team? Quarterback, coach, pass rusher. And it said all those things they downgraded. Okay, the great offseason.
There is no shortage of doubters for the season. And if you're saying 6 wins or whatever, I guess you're technically a doubter. Do I have to sit there and say they're bad until they're no longer bad with their wins and losses? Or is there any room for nuance and say, hey, I don't know if they're going to win a lot of games this year, but this should be something that builds towards 2027 and beyond? I don't know why that's such a controversial thing, and I don't know why I'm going to get my head bit off here by a lot of naysayers who are going to, I'm certainly sure going to flood my mentions and hopefully tell me wrong and tell me different on the phones, because I want some people to be with me on this. Or then fine, we'll just sit here and I'll just do sad bastard radio for the entire rest of the season then. I'm not trying to talk to anybody. I'm just trying to tell you exactly how this works. You can't just get into a dead sprint and be a Super Bowl contending football team. Like, you guys know better than anybody. It takes building blocks.
And yet the Patriots went to the Super Bowl last year, a year after they were garbage.
But a year after they were garbage because they had a good quarterback. So, yeah, we'll probably, hopefully, if we get a good quarterback.
Need one of those.
And if we get a good quarterback in 2027, even if we don't have a good quarterback this year, fine. Maybe by 2028, we'll be cooking. But there were a lot of building blocks that they had to go through and a lot of pains that they had to go through to redo or undo some of the things that Bill Belichick did wrong, and then undo some of the things that Gerard Mayo did wrong. Like, sometimes you do have to fix some problems. 216-474-0092. Do I have to say they're bad until they're no longer bad with the win-loss record? Or can I look at this honestly, and I do think it was a good offseason. Can I admit it's a good offseason, or am I just trying to polish the turd to a lot of you folks? 216-474-0092. Ken Carman, Toadmaster General on the Fan.
XT.
family to Blossom for a salute to America with the Blossom Festival Band, followed by a spectacular fireworks display. Under 18s are free on the lawn all summer long. A salute to America, July 4th at Blossom. Get your tickets now at clevelandorchestra.com.
Leave the garage door open and turn up the fan. Spend the summer with your home for Cleveland Sports Talk. 92.3 The Fan.
I'm not getting hammered as much as I thought I would. There is room for nuance after all. About last night, coming up in 20 minutes, Joe Thomas, the Hall of Famer. He's going to join us at 8 o'clock. Who does he have starting week 1 for the Cleveland Browns as of right now? One of many questions we'll ask Joe coming up at 8 o'clock. Also, could we use his name? Could I FaceTime Joe to try to get out of a speeding ticket? Would that work in Northeast Ohio? Do you believe so? Diana Russini style.
Yeah.
Even though she didn't FaceTime anybody. She showed text.
It was very cringy what she did, but it worked. There was a method to the madness.
To get her out of it. I mean, she worked hard to get out of that ticket. I mean, as a sportsman like yourself, would you, if you were the officer that pulled her over, you're like, man, she's really working. I might as well.
Yeah, the thing is that it's amazing that she really did put, but this is where NFL is in 2026. She put NFL, or I guess you'd argue that law enforcement at that time, NFL was prioritized. Breaking news in the NFL was prioritized over so many other things. Like if you were a doctor saying, well, I've got to get to the office, I've got a surgery, you would expect them to get off, right?
Yes.
Okay, how many jobs are there?
Yeah.
Well, NFL breaking news is now in that list.
No, it shouldn't be, though. It should not be. I understand it did, but it shouldn't. It really shouldn't.
Like monitoring the sequence of lights in downtown Cleveland. If I said I have to get there because the traffic flow is all willy-nilly based on the new patterns with East Night getting closed, I don't think that gets you off. I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't. But I don't think that, because it was just like, what is your favorite team then? Who's your favorite team? Like she assumed he was like a Bills fan. And then, well, who is your favorite team? Who is it? Oh, I'm a Vikings fan. Well, let me tell you about Kevin O'Connell. And then I'll just throw J.J. McCarthy under the bus while we're at it. What if the guy ended up being a real big J.J. McCarthy fan? I mean, took some pills to do so. We'll ask Joe about that coming up at 8 o'clock.
Do we need to subpoena all of the Diana Russini interactions to then be able to evaluate all the GMs in the NFL? Because think about what a mess that is in Minnesota. I mean, she's there openly talking about what the coach thinks of the quarterback. And meanwhile, the GM got fired.
Throwing everybody
under
the
got
bus
fired over
just
this.
to get out of a ticket. It's got body cam on. You didn't know what was going to happen, for the love of God. Anyway, Joe Thomas is going to join us at 8 o'clock. Also, Justin Termini, 9 a.m., host of NBA Today on SiriusXM NBA Radio. Have the Cavs reach their ceiling with no way to break through? Want to ask Justin about that coming up at 9 o'clock because you and I had a spirited Jaylen Brown discussion. We're also having a spirited discussion about this Athletic article. So an article that was written by a man named Mike Jones. He wrote the winners and the losers of the NFL offseason in 2026. The Browns were number 3 on his list of the 5 winners who won the offseason. 4 S's and G's, by the way. The Ravens were also mentioned as a winner. I don't believe any other AFC North franchise was mentioned in this article. The Rams were obviously number 1. The Ravens were number 2. The Browns were number 3. For the reasons of building blocks. And I had simply mentioned to you, do I have, because I get accused of this all the time. Can you get really excited and then things go to hell, and then I have to sit there and answer to it, and I have to put my head in my hands and put my tail between my legs and be embarrassed about what I've predicted for the season. I've stuck to 6 wins. I was at 7 before the Myles Garrett trade. You won the game against Pittsburgh basically just because he was on the field this last year, so I took a win away. They can't be very much worse on their offensive line. I know I say that, and they'll go watch me. They can't be very much worse on their offensive line. Their defense takes a hit. It should still be pretty solid. Should be pretty solid. Your wide receivers could not have been worse last year. So you've addressed that, but they are rookies. 6 wins. And I do think that those wide receivers will open things up because now you cannot just stack the box. Like Coach Lance brought this up to us. I asked him off air, and then he brought it up on the air, thank God, about the Quinshon Judkins. Why is Quinshon Judkins not running the way Dylan Sampson did before Quinshon Judkins' injury? And Coach Lance was very serious. You have nobody else other than Harold Fannin that they take seriously in your offense. So it's easy to stack the box with number 10s out there. They know what they're going to do with number 10. So they're going to be gunning for him. Dylan Sampson, it changes things because he's not the running back that Quinshon Judkins is. So you have these wide receivers. It should be better. Still, I say 6 wins. But I can say 6 wins, and can we or can we not look at what was written here? I read the snippet to everybody. Can we not read what's written here and go, this, as it sits right now, was a good offseason? I don't understand. So I have to sit there and say everything sucks until it no longer sucks? Because to me,
I didn't say their offseason sucks.
There are people who agree with me, but there are people going, here you are doing your excuse making for the Browns again. My God, you've been doing it for 15 years. When the hell are you going to stop?
I didn't. I mean, we were having the conversation. We're looking at each other. I didn't say the offseason sucked. What I challenge is, what are we supposed to do with that information? Are we supposed to celebrate? Are we supposed to do? Because
I think it's a hope for better things ahead.
And we always hope. We're good at hoping. Like that's the easy part. And like I said, I just don't know how much credit you get for doing what they did, which was waiting until the offensive line totally combusted and then to address it. Like, this was not the way that most smart teams would address offensive line. Waiting for it to bottom out, then going after guys that other teams didn't want.
I don't think that's what they did.
Other offensive linemen that got injured.
I don't think that's what they did.
I don't know that that's still, like, they've addressed their offensive line. Did they fix it?
Tone, I don't think that's what they did.
And then I'm supposed to celebrate
No,
it?
I'm not celebrating this. This is where I have to concede something to you here, is that I look at what they've done with the offensive line. I have to be critical of Andrew Berry there. Jed Wills is supposed to be your starting left tackle. He's not your starting left tackle. You had DeJuan Jones sub in for him as a starting left tackle, but DeJuan Jones got hurt. So now we don't really know about DeJuan Jones' future, and DeJuan Jones is a 4th-round guy. Zach Zinter, who has been relatively unplayable for his couple of years that he's been with the Cleveland Browns, that was supposed to be a replacement you had at the guard position. So, yeah, there's obviously room for criticism outside of the $230 million 3 first-round draft pick quarterback that nobody wants to see play. That's always going to be front and center number one. But there are other things to be critical of. But there's no general manager in the NFL who is perfect that hasn't made mistakes. Andrew Berry's made plenty of them. Can I or can I not say that I think that he's addressed it? Now, the offensive line, I just think they can't be any worse than what they were last year.
You can say he addressed. I agreed with you that he addressed it.
Okay.
That doesn't mean anything until I see, are they actually a good offensive line? Do you think they're going to be? I didn't say
it was a good offensive line. I just said it couldn't be as bad as what they were last year. I'm not pointing out that they're going to be good.
Celebrate that?
But the other positions.
Put that on the video. Put that on the tape. Make sure to highlight that. Ken said they're supposed to be better. How could they not be better than last year? Okay,
how could they not be better than last year? Last year was terrible.
And do we celebrate that?
Know if it's something to celebrate.
That's all I'm asking. What am I supposed to do?
Question.
What am I supposed to do with this offseason? That's all I'm asking you. What I'm supposed to do with it.
216-474-0092. Jack and Lorraine, you're first up in the fan. Hello.
Guys, thank you. This is part of the highlight of my drive in the morning. You guys are very entertaining. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
And thank you to Owen, too, because I think he adds a lot to the show.
He's in Cooperstown right now, but I will send your very best to him. He's at a baseball tournament.
But I'm with you, Ken. I think this is a very optimistic thing that I've seen happen over the building of this team in the last 2 years. The big key, as you guys have said, is the offensive line and the quarterback. But I think with Watson or with Sanders, you have most likely a 500 quarterback because that's what they've shown. Watson is 8 and 9, and I think Sanders is 3 and 4. I think all the arrows are pointing up here, and I'm with you. I'm very optimistic about what is going to happen this season. And one other comment to Tone, stop saying throwing darts. I'm a dart player. That's a skill, and when you throw darts, you have targets. Roll the dice, not throw darts.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Jack,
the way
you.
I used to throw.
I played Bones. There's a skill to that, too.
Good point.
All right, so this is where I'm at on this. I think we are at a crossroads right now. We are at a critical juncture. I'm starting to have faith again, and this is what's scary, and I think a lot of people are going to roll their eyes at this if you didn't already roll your eyes before. I'm not just trying to make videos out of this, guys. I'm serious. I think I do have more trust in Andrew Berry than I've had in quite a while. I think I have more faith in Andrew Berry than what I've had in quite a while. I see some of the young guys. I think that some of these young guys are good football players. Now, they all can't be Pro Football Hall of Famers for crying out loud, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. I think that there's some football players that I can get excited about. I wish I had an answer for everybody about the offensive line. I don't. I cannot say that they're going to turn into a great offensive line. I know everybody and their brother is going to bring up the Bears. Guys, they have a quarterback who was running for his life last year, all throughout the year, and that's part of the reason why people love him, because of the plays that he had to make on the fly, because he was being chased down a bunch. So the Bears are not a good comparison. That being pointed out, I'm going to hold my breath about the offensive line. But I'm stuck in this moment where, yet again, I think we're on the cusp of I need one more good draft. I think we're on the cusp of starting to break through again. Now, I'm not saying Super Bowl window number 2 or any of that other crap, okay? We're on the cusp, and it's very tight now. So I need to do one of two things. I got to figure out the quarterback situation. Everybody knows that. 2, even if I'm not going to win a lot of games this year, and I said they're going to win 6 games. It's not a lot of wins, guys. It's not a lot of wins. So even if they win 6 games, I got to hope that Andrew Berry is still employed at the end of this year. And all this season is going to set up for is for all these things to come out laughable at the end of the year. If I say that I believe Andrew Berry should be employed by the end of this year, still going into 2027, if I say that I think that this team has young, good talent on it, and both of those things, they still finish with 6 wins, and we haven't figured out the quarterback, I get laughed out of this studio. So you're in a spot right now, you can go one of two ways. I can either say they're going to be garbage, and saying they're garbage is not really any sort of a challenge to anybody considering the last 30 years of their existence. Or I should be able to say, and I do believe this, that yes, there are players here that I do think can contribute to a team that actually is a competitive team by the time 2028 comes around, which is a long time still. But I'm playing the long game here, Tone.
Yeah, well, that's what we have to do. What else do we have? I mean, it has to be the long game because you admitted, and
better believe it.
You're more optimistic year to year on the Browns than anybody I know, and you said 6 wins this year. So obviously, it's a long game. It can't all be about this year. And when you trade Myles Garrett, when you're on the verge of, potentially trading Denzel Ward, and you're kind of completing the teardown of what they had, rebuilding the offensive line, trying to do that all in one fell swoop. Like, this is not something about this year, and I think that's pretty clear.
So are you going to use this against me at the end of the year then? Or during the season? Is this something that gets thrown in my face?
Will I use...
Kayla's nodding. She knows.
Well, that you're optimistic about the future?
I'm optimistic.
I'm not.
Yeah, but I'm not
always pretty optimistic about the future.
There's been times I haven't. Not especially the beginning of the Deshaun Watson era. I had a bad feeling about that. Ended up being right. Had a bad feeling about that. The only time they were ever good is when he wasn't playing quarterback. Now we're just trying to get out of this.
Yeah. I mean, if they go 3-14 and fire Monken after 1 year, we're going to have to reevaluate this, right?
Yeah. Because I mean, this could be if any of these draft picks that you have, like if Spencer Fano goes out there and he's just lost, like, yeah, we're going to have to reevaluate this. Like, he's your first-round pick. That'd be another first-round pick problem. If Emmanuel McNeil-Warren doesn't know how to play defense all of a sudden. But these are things I just don't think are going to happen. I think Spencer Fano is going to do a solid job. There's plenty of people around the league who say maybe he's destined to be your right tackle in a few years, kind of like Will Campbell, which I know that's a 4-letter name to a lot of people out there. But maybe like Will Campbell, where you find your left tackle of the future somewhere else. But because of his flexibility, that Spencer Fano will do a fine job over there at left tackle for this year, maybe next year and the year after before you start to move around the offensive line fine. I'm open-minded to that. There's a lot that they have to prove this year, and a lot of that is going to still have to do without winning. Because the goal of this entire season, either you win with the quarterbacks that you have and maybe you found somebody young. It's not likely, right? Your goal of this, if you believe there's no quarterback play here, if you're one of the people who are Browns fans, you just say these quarterbacks are not good, their future is not here. If you're one of those folks, the entire goal of this year is to be able to look back on this season and be able to put the losing on this season on the quarterback position. That is what your goal. If you don't believe in the quarterback room, that is what your goal should be. Because then it just crystallizes everything. Because what would be terrible for everybody is if, okay, say Shedeur does play and he plays well, it makes things great. But then again, you've wasted all these draft picks if we find out that other guys are turning into pumpkins. Like, we have to recognize this is a serious crossroads for this franchise. 216-474-0092. Joe Thomas going to join us at 8 o'clock. And about last night, do we have an epidemic happening in professional sports here? We talked Brendan Sorsby to death. There's another guy that's in hot water over gambling. We'll tell you who in About Last Night on The Fan.
All right, real.
sweet haircut. How it is when you win in Cleveland, man. They love you. When you lose, whew, it's the way it should be.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him, how he couldn't please his wife, and so now he's divorced.
That sounds really good, but I'm not 6'5", and I don't have the athletic ability to play in the NBA.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
The Guardians lost to AL West leader, the Texas Rangers, 6-3 last night. Parker Messick was brilliant through 6, but allowed 2 runs in the 7th to give Texas the lead. The Rangers tacked on 2 insurance runs in the 9th, which really sucks because the Guardians didn't really even have a chance to come back in that game. This was the first time that they have had back-to-back games of 10 or more hits since May 31st and June 2nd. I think they should have had more. You face Chris Paddock, who is on his 3rd team this season. It's his first. They signed him that day, and he threw 4 innings, only allowed 2 earned runs. That's a game you have to win.
You're just not hitting the ball hard. I mean, I agree with you. It's a game you have to win. You're just not hitting the ball hard. You're getting a bat on the ball here and there. I think that so many guys, I said this at 6:20, and you can go back and listen to that interview or that audio with the free Odyssey app with the Rewind feature, powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. You can go hear that segment again. But I'll tell you right now, so maybe you don't have to, is that I think they're up there guessing. I think they're pressing with runners in scoring position. I think they know that hey, man, we've been scuffling here. We got to get this across. And this is kind of the residual effect of what you get when you have so many young guys. We're all excited about it, but you got to be willing to go through some of the growing pains here. And part of the growing pains is that when you find yourself in the big stadium with the big league stuff going on, you're going to put a little bit more pressure on yourself because all these guys know, like, I don't think any of these guys should be in quote-unquote danger of being sent back down. And let me throw Cooper Ingle into this as well. I know that he wasn't in the lineup last night. Like, when Angel Martinez comes back, I would send David Fry down. He's got, you corrected me, I thought he had 2. He has 3 options. You got these young guys, but it's a different type of pressure. It's not about staying up here. It's that they know that you're the future of the organization. Jose Ramirez is in his 30s. One of you guys, I don't think anybody's going to be able to take the mantle like Jose, but one of these guys are going to have to grab it, and another couple of guys are going to have to come with it. I think that's not lost on them, and they know they're in a fight for a division, and that can be a lot of pressure on a young man.
This is amazing that when the season is starting, when they break out of spring training, they come back. You see just how different the team is and changes already. We're not even into the month of July. And this lineup is nothing like, what you saw, coming out of spring training. It's like this every single year. It's like, why do we even bother analyzing the team, early in the year? It's just going to change so dramatically. And then, with the injuries, like last night, they had their chance in the 7th inning to come back. And unfortunately, they couldn't cash in after the wild pitch, and then the 8th inning was just a total disaster, and so too was the 9th. So.
And then Lima's tweeting stare downs of Stephen Vogt to Stephen Kwan.
He looked miserable.
Look at you, baseball guy over there. Look at you.
Well, basketball is over. There's not much going on in football right now. I think it's that time to be dialed in, either this or the World Cup, right?
Why not both?
Yeah.
Why can't you enjoy both?
His soccer fandom suspended until
the beautiful game. His soccer fandom suspended
until tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's when they play.
That's when US play.
I'll be into it tomorrow, and then it's sink or swim, right?
Yeah.
Cry.
The Cavs have signed someone, and no, they didn't trade for Jaylen Brown, and no, they didn't sign LeBron. But it could be another important piece. 28-year-old center Thomas Bryant has agreed to a 1-year deal. Bring back an important bench piece, but he only saw action in 9 of 18 postseason games where he played 5 or more minutes, just 3 of those games. Well, we don't know the Cavs' full roster. Do you think that this move could prove dividends down the line in maybe later on in the playoffs?
Always able to help out, and a little bit more experience is fine. He knows his role with the team. It's beneficial for both sides.
I'm just stunned that people are so annoyed at the lack of buzz around the Cavs and anything this offseason that they're crushing moves like this. Like online, I looked at a couple of the pieces that were written about this signing, and it's just Cavs fans killing Kobe Altman for not doing anything. And I'm like, well, free agency technically begins today at 6 o'clock. The Harden thing, we don't know how much they've trimmed down the salary from what he was making, which was the Darius Garland. That was the whole point of Darius Garland move, was not just to get a better player, but also to get some savings. So let's see what those savings are. And we won't know what kind of flexibility they have until we figure out what that number is for James Harden. And the lower, the better, obviously.
More gambling. There's more gambling here in sports. This time it's in the NBA. Malik Beasley, a 9-year NBA vet. Well, he and former Cav Ed Davis, along with 4 other players, were indicted on gambling charges. Beasley took bribes to manipulate games, a.k.a. point shaving. Davis placed the bets on the outcomes of the games. And when Beasley was with Milwaukee in 2024, they faced 20 years in jail. Have you seen the breakdowns on Michael Beasley, on Malik Beasley?
I've seen the videos.
Like going through, they're showing him. One of them, my favorite one is when the spread was 7.5, and the Bucks were down by 9, and he scored at the end of the game just to get under the spread. Like, how you couldn't be any more obvious.
Who did Malik Beasley owe money to?
Well, there are all sorts of allegations about, stuff behind the scenes and the type of debt that he got himself involved in.
Yeah.
What I do wonder, because, the last month we've been talking so much about gambling and sports. Does this put in perspective a little bit why I was just not as fed up with the Sorsby stuff? This is so much worse. And I just laugh at how we've come down the wrath, at the
conspiracy
doorstep.
to fix games is a crime.
Like, this is so much worse than anything Sorsby was involved with.
Yeah.
I don't even know how. Like, we're like, that's the ultimate crime, the ultimate sin. No, this is the ultimate sin. This is the ultimate crime. If you can't tell the difference between this and what Sorsby
it's not good.
Did,
everybody
then
can
I don't
tell
even know if I can have a conversation
Everybody
with you.
can tell the difference.
No, they can, apparently.
Okay, anybody with any semblance of intelligence can tell the difference, but they're neither are good. All right? If I go over and I cheat on my wife, that's the worst you can do. If I'm sending texts, it's not really the worst I can do, but it ain't exactly good now, is it?
Yeah, nobody's saying Sorsby did was good. I just
like that, John. You like that?
I think we have to be smarter with our phrasing and contextualize this stuff. We don't have to say
that's not gonna happen.
Sorsby committed the mortal sin. No. This is actually rigging games, rigging aspects of games. This is so much worse.
But I've agreed with you the entire time.
Now, if you're telling me Sorsby, what he was doing was going to ultimately lead to this, okay, you'd have a better case. But it's not this.
Well, that is the question of how far did things go. And if they don't get the proper answer, I keep going back and using your Pete Rose example against you.
I understand
because more came out about Pete Rose over the course of 35, 40 years.
Yes.
So if more is going to come out, if more comes out with one guy, then you think, okay, what more do we know about Malik Beasley? What more will we know about Brendan Sorsby?
But you know one way not to find out more about Sorsby? To not talk to him, which the NFL decided not to do and not make him eligible for the supplemental. So we'll never, apparently the NFL's not that interested in finding out more about the Sorsby situation because they didn't have enough time to investigate. No, you could have just picked up the phone or, flew him in and talked to him. You could have done that.
That's it for About Last Night.
Outstanding, Jeff. Boy, you really got us going today. Well done. In your .9ers hat.
Yeah, a 9mm bullet.
He loves it. It's a discussion piece.
Yeah, he loves that.
Because he's in another town.
Yeah.
People don't know what that is.
He gets to tell people about Sioux City, Iowa. Is it Sioux City?
No, this was a club team. This is seen my other hat that has big X on it.
Oh, because you were all Delaware Valley baseball?
I wasn't all Delaware Valley baseball. I was all CVC, Colonial Valley Conference.
CVC, well, here we call it a little bit different. It's called the Chagrin Valley Conference, and I think you better start to understand that, son. You are no longer in Jersey. This is Ohio, okay? We take the CVC around here. There, seriously. You understand me?
I do, sir.
By the way, he said that a New Jersey baseball is way better than Ohio baseball in high school.
I need to find the standings. Give me the power rankings. Like, do some research on high school baseball.
Don't they have a baseball stadium on top of a school somewhere over there?
I mean, a lot of them are.
Tom's River
South.
Of the school?
Oh, on top of the school? Oh, I think that's right across the river in New York. That's right across the river. Maybe it's way up there, up north.
And you say that New Jersey high school baseball is better than Ohio high school baseball.
Mike Trout, Todd Frazier, Jack Leiter, Al Leiter.
Did you ever hear of a man named Cy Young?
Came with receipts.
That was 1,000 years ago.
I'm sorry. How many awards are named after all those guys you just mentioned?
Again, 1,000 years ago.
That many. How many awards are named after Cy Young? One of the biggest. What we like to call in this business a little champion's pose, Tone.
Wow.
What do you think?
You didn't expect that, did you?
Champions pose. Champions pose. Up your
nose with the rubber hose and a champion's pose.
Thurman Munson? How many of those guys you mentioned were ever captain of the Yankees? Thurman Munson was. Boom. That's 2.
Wow.
Be gone.
Annihilation
Gone.
here.
Ohio high school baseball. That's where it's at. Tigers catcher Dirk Diggler. Yeah. That's 3. How many guys caught for the Tigers in New Jersey? Boom. Joe Thomas. He's from Wisconsin, but a Cleveland legend, and he joins us in 5 minutes on The Fan.
our shows and can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
Lou Trevisano tweeting at us, Griffey Jr. played for Moeller. So did Barry Larkin, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
John doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to high school baseball between the states of New Jersey and Ohio.
It's just getting more embarrassing for young John, who I do believe...
Get your head out of your ass, John.
...has not eclipsed the probationary period yet.
That's right.
One day it's going to happen.
Is he still on probation with his girlfriend for going on vacation?
I don't know even
to see
how
that
that
other
works.
woman in Miami?
I don't know.
Interesting. Little thing they have going on there. Anyway, it sounds pretty tasty to me. Anyway, it's time to give something away. Enter the code word MATCH. MATCH, match at 923thefan.com before 9 a.m. for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Northeast Wrestling's Wrestling Under the Stars. Friday, July 10th at Avon's Forefront Field. Get tickets at LakeErieCrushers.com. It's brought to you by Wrestling Under the Stars and 92.3 The Fan. That word again is match. MATCH. Enter it at 923thefan.com. By the end of the hour, you're going to see some wrestling. Good luck to you. Let's go to the Wise Heart Right. We make it right. Call Kyle Wright Hotline. Ladies and gentlemen, Browns legend, Hall of Famer in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Joe Thomas. He joins us right now. Hello, Joe.
Hello, gentlemen. How are we doing today?
Enough of the chit-chat. Who's starting week one if you're the head coach of the Browns?
Wow, we're really getting right into it.
Damn right.
Nice to see you and hear from you again, I guess. That is the question that's on everybody's mind. And I said it to Andrew Siciliano on the Rich Eisen show last week that, if you're putting the gun to the head, and I got to say somebody as of right now, it looks like it's going to be Deshaun Watson. But, we still got a lot of training camp to go. Obviously, we need to put the pads on, get the underwear, and throw them to the side because football season is upon us. We're going to real practice that's going to give us some real information about the connection that these quarterbacks have with Todd Monken's new offense and these new receivers.
Now, Joe, honestly, I'm kind of assing off in that first question. I understand that you're a football guy. You understand it's Todd Monken's decision. If I can be serious for a moment, one of the things that have bothered me, and I've been pretty critical of some of my own media brethren here, is the thought that if Shedeur doesn't start week one, then he should just be traded or cut. I think it's crazy. I think there is a world, and Lima agrees with me on this, by the way, Joe. Like, there is a world, it's like, hey, if he doesn't start, it's not fun for a lot of us, but hey, it's not a great big issue here. Go get yourself ready to go just in case, and eventually you probably will have a start sooner than later in this coming season.
Absolutely, and what we got to remember is Shedeur was forced into action in the middle of the season last year before he was ready, and he had some high moments and some low moments, as you'd expect for any quarterback. But he's a fourth-round draft choice, and he's a fourth-round pick because he's a development project. He's got a lot of work to do. He's got great skill sets. Obviously, that's why he was selected, and he had such a great college career. But he needs time to develop. You look at what the Packers did with Jordan Love and what they did with Aaron Rodgers, and that's really the model that the NFL is going towards because they understand how long it takes to be able to develop a young quarterback, especially somebody like Shedeur who's not going to be getting a lot of first downs with his legs specifically. That is the type of quarterback, the scramble Lamar Jackson type, that can play right away because they're going to make more plays with their feet than their arm right away. They don't necessarily need to have to be able to digest and dissect the defense in that 3-second window while they're in the pocket. And so they can play and work themselves and learn themselves into reading the defense, throwing the ball to the right guy. But more of a traditional pocket passer like Shedeur, it takes time. And so if somebody's going to give you a first-round draft choice for him, yeah, maybe then you want to trade him, right? That makes sense. But if you're just going to throw him away for a fourth round or lower, it makes no sense whatsoever because we still have no idea what he can be as our starting quarterback. And to your point, it's not like we've got
a starter sitting there going, yep, this is our franchise guy. He's going to be there forever, so we need to have a solid veteran backup. No, I mean, if Deshaun wins the job, it's because he gives you the best opportunity and option right there. But we expect that Shedeur is going to continue to grow and learn and become a much better player midway through the season than he is right now. And so keep him around, and it's more likely than not that he's going to have an opportunity to start and then win that starting job for the long term if you keep him around and keep him on the roster.
Joe, do you think this alleged edge that Deshaun Watson has, do you think it's just about the fact that the coach has seen him play in it's been a while, but has seen him play at a high level, has seen him play in big games, has had to adapt new terminology before with new offenses and new coaches? Or do you think Deshaun Watson has actually, if the coach believes that Deshaun Watson can actually take steps forward from where he's been with the Browns?
I think it strictly just comes down to experience. Deshaun Watson's played in multiple systems. He's played in a lot of NFL games, big games at that. And it's a much easier thing for him to pick up an offense quickly, understand what the decisions are that you need to make while you're in the pocket, while you're in the huddle, while you're outside of the pocket, and do the things that the coach is asking. And so every coach that I've ever been around is going to value somebody that can execute the offense at a basic level, the way that they see it, the way that they install it, over a player that you just have a lot more unknowns. And right now with Shedeur, because he doesn't have that experience, he's going to go out there and it's going to be a lot harder for him to operate the offense, to give the guys around him an opportunity to learn the offense and have success. And so that's, to me, what Deshaun brings right now. And a coach values that because he needs to be able to see what his offense can do and what the other guys around him can do. And if you have a quarterback that's just not quite ready to be able to do kind of the basic things that you need to see with your offense, it's hard to evaluate those other players. And so I think it just really comes down to experience, why I would have to bet that right now Deshaun is the front runner to be that starter in week one.
Joe Thomas joining us here on the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. I'm paying attention to Hall of Fame Farms. I want to ask you about them coming up here in a moment because the Wagyu is looking sensational. Let me ask you, though, about Todd Monken here, if I can. What is his biggest challenge? I know that he's already met the team. They've got a feel for each other here. They've had several instances of OTAs and all the other sort. What is the challenge for him as a first-year head coach, even though he's been in the league in a long time, taking over, starting in training camp here in a few weeks?
Honestly, it's the defense, right? Because it's defense in transition. You lost the greatest defensive player in the history of football when Myles Garrett was traded. You brought in Verse, and he's going to be a great player for us, but he's not going to be Myles Garrett. Additionally, you got a new defensive coordinator. You got a lot of young, talented players. But the real challenge is he's an offensive head coach, and I think he's going to do a good job. He's old school. He's demanding. He's hands-on, detail-oriented. And I think the offense will be made up in his image fairly quickly. And bringing in my old offensive line coach, George Warhop, Quinshot Judkins, looks like he never got hurt from the reports coming out of the OTAs and minicamp. And so I think on offense, they're going to be okay. They're going to be better than they were last year. They're going to pound the football. They got a rebuilt, physical, tough offensive line. But really, the defense, because they were so good the last several years, the expectations are a lot higher. And you lose, like I mentioned, Myles Garrett, and you bring in a new defensive coordinator. And so there's going to be, I think, a challenge to meet expectations of seasons past on defense. And I wonder how that will blend and mix within the team, knowing that this was always a team for the last couple of years that was really led by their defense. And now there's a lot of question marks about, hey, are the changes that we've made on defense, from coaching staff all the way through the personnel, the right decisions? And so I think you're going to be constantly battling that narrative as a head coach.
Joe Thomas with us on the hotline. So the Houston Texans last year tried to go 5 in, 5 out with the offensive line. That did not go well for most of the season for them, and some wonder if that really hampered and eroded, the quarterback. The Browns are trying to do that. How difficult is that really? And because 4 of them, appear to be veterans, or maybe 3, depending on what they do at center, does that make it a little easier? How do they go about doing that?
So it does make it easier that you've got veterans, right? The do a much better job of picking things up, understanding the details, and being able to understand the mesh between the players that you play adjacent to. So I think it takes really getting into training camp, putting the pads on, and blocking some human beings with a helmet and shoulder pads. That's really what it's going to take. But I wouldn't have a ton of concerns. I was here when George Warhop took over, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago now. I don't even remember when it was. I think 2009 he came in. And he did a great job because he's old school. We called him General George. He is going to get them out there 30, 40 hour before practice starts, going over their assignments, working their drills, working all the double teams, the combinations that get you on the same page and in sync with the players that are next to you. So I think they'll be fine on the offensive line. I'm not overly worried about that transition, although they are making a full line change there, hockey style, with the different guys that are coming in because, as you mentioned, if they were rookies, I'd be real nervous. There'd be a lot of pucker factor. But with vets, they'll be able to pick it up, and by the time the regular season starts, I think they'll be in good shape, and we'll be having a pretty dominant offensive line and running game.
How does George Warhop get through to guys? Because I haven't heard one former Brown say anything critical of George Warhop whatsoever. In fact, I haven't found a former player say anything critical of George Warhop whatsoever. But the moment the Browns hired him, like there was a conversation about him going to the Giants before he came back to Cleveland, and there were a bunch of people looking at some, and hey, analytics can be a four-letter word to some people, Joe, but there were some people looking at it going, okay, the PFF numbers actually bear out teams somehow looking better after he leaves, but I got to go by the players, and I can't find a player who thinks he's a bad football coach. In fact, quite the opposite.
Yeah, all of his players love him. I mean, go back to when he was coaching in college at Boston College. I remember asking some of his players at that time when we got George, and they loved him. And really it starts with your knowledge and your ability to teach and communicate, and he's excellent at all those things. I think you gain respect very quickly from the room when everything that you're saying makes sense. And now he's demanding. If you are a soft player, you don't like hard coaching, you don't like working hard, he may not be your cup of tea. But from the guys that love the position, they love being there, he is extremely detail-oriented. Everything he's going to tell them makes perfect sense. It fits together within the broader scheme of what's happening with the offense. And he's just a terrific coach. And I think it's difficult on the offensive line to measure how good the coaches are with analytics because sometimes, you get a high-round draft choice and they come in and then they don't work out, right? Which is just part of the game. You have good players in college that come in with a lot of accolades and it just doesn't work out. And then sometimes, the offensive line coach is going to get blamed in that situation. And really it was more about the player than the coach. And as an offensive line, we can only do so much. Quarterback, running back, offensive coordinator, receivers, those guys got to do their part too. And so I think with George, he may have been doing a great job with their offensive lines, and then he leaves, and there's a lot of changes that happen, a lot of variables being put into that equation, and somehow, the analytics can kind of tell you whatever story you want to tell, and sometimes that means, hey, they got better when this offensive line coach left, so that means he's bad, but that's not really a one point to the other point direct line, in my opinion.
Well, I don't follow just you on social media at Joe Thomas 73. I also follow Hall of Fame Farms. Today the last day? Tell me it's today, and I didn't get this mixed up. It's not yesterday. It's today, the last day you can get the Wagyu by the time July 4th comes around.
That's right. Everybody's getting ready for the weekend, celebrating America's 250th birthday, and we're doing the same here at Hall of Fame Farms. Actually driving out today. We're going to be taking some calves and doctoring a few cows here because we're still finishing up our spring calving season. But today is the last day if you want to have our Hall of Fame Farms Wagyu delivered right to your doorstep before the 4th of July. We do a 2-day ship from Madison, Wisconsin on dry ice cooler. We got all the things that you'd want, including the Killer Burger Sampler, right? This is your 4th of July cheat code, $199. You get 18 pounds of our Wagyu burger delivered right to your door, ready to put on the grill and cook up for your 4th of July holiday parties. You're going to wow people because they've never tasted beef that's anywhere close to Hall of Fame Wagyu. So that's really the one that I've got. I already ordered one. Showed up at my door last week, and yes, it's true. I pay for my own Wagyu beef because it's that good.
Amazing. Joe, I did have one question. You've given a Hall of Fame speech. You have been around, big speaking engagements before, but where were you on the scale of nervousness when you were with the president at the Agricultural Roundtable, which made the rounds on social media? You looked very comfortable up there, very political even.
Yes, so that was funny. I was out in Montana with the family. We were enjoying a nice RV trip, and I got a call from my agent. Hey, I got a call from somebody at the White House. They're interested in having you involved representing American agriculture, family farmers, from the cattle and ranching side to this ag roundtable. It's in Wisconsin. It's obviously the connection with you farming there. And I said, oh, cool. I'll be home. I think it was Friday or whatever it was. Yeah. So I can drive up there to Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, up by where my in-laws live. And so I went there, and I realized that it wasn't exactly the private roundtable that I was expecting it to be. But because we had to get there so early, obviously the president was there, Secretary of Agriculture, a bunch of local politicians and state senators, congressmen, things like that. So us peasants had to get there like 5 hours before it started. So I was pretty nervous for like the first hour, but then the next 4 hours of just waiting, all those nerves kind of melted away. And then I was like, all right, let's get to doing this thing. Let's talk about family farms and preserving American agriculture and helping all my family farmers that I'm very close with, since I've been farming in this area of Wisconsin for 15 years now. And so it helped that you just have to sit there at queue for like 4 hours, like you're standing in line at Cedar Point and waiting for your kids to get on the ride. You get pretty bored.
Good point. It kills the nerves having to sit there and wait. Joe Thomas joining us on the show. Okay, I got one more question for you. Diana Russini, there was the body cam footage of her talking to a police officer in New Jersey, getting herself out of a ticket because she could text Kevin O'Connell, the head coach of the Vikings. If I get pulled over in, say, Streetsboro, do you think I can get, if I call you or FaceTime you, could you get me out of a ticket?
So what you're going to need to do is grab some of our Hall of Fame jerky and Hall of Fame Shutterwurst. And as long as you got those handy, so just keep a cooler in your car for those Shutterwurst. You hand them off to Mr. Police Officer 50. He'll let you off. He might even give you a little bit of a little bonus, like a new coin, a get out of jail free card forever, which I'm sure you boys, with as fast as you drive the metal lead feet that you guys travel down the highway there in Streetsboro, that might come in handy later on.
You see how it goes? You said, like, if you carry the beef around with you, you're above the law. Go to hallofamefarms.com. Go see all the great opportunity or the great deals that they have. Opportunity to get it by July 4th, the Wagyu beef, which is fantastic. I can't pronounce it very well, but I know I can eat it very well, and it's fantastic. Joe, we thank you so much for the time. Again, hallofamefarms.com. Joe, thank you so much, buddy.
Hey, you don't have to pronounce it. You just have to eat it, guys. Thanks for having me on. Have a great day and enjoy America's birthday.
Yes, sir.
USA! Super Bowl!
Super Browns! Yeah! The legendary Joe Thomas on the Wise Are Right. We make it right. Call Kyle right out loud.
When's the last time we did that?
It's been a while. Well, you told me I couldn't get excited about the offseason.
Well, Joe Thomas has a way to bring that out of even me.
I know, that's true. What a wonderful guy. Were you interested that he said defense was the biggest challenge?
Yeah, that was, honestly.
All right, I want to get to that. And Shador has a lot in common with some of the all-time greats. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Justin Termini. NBA Today on SiriusXM NBA Radio, 9:01 on The Fan.
92.3 The Fan, 20.
the defense, because it's the defense in transition. You lost the greatest defensive player in the history of football when Myles Garrett was traded. You brought in Verse, and he's going to be a great player for us, but he's not going to be Myles Garrett. Additionally, you got a new defensive coordinator. You got a lot of young, talented players, but the real challenge is he's an offensive head coach, and I think he's going to do a good job. He's old school, he's demanding, he's hands-on, detail-oriented.
That was a very surprising answer from Joe Thomas with us just moments ago. I asked him what Todd Monken's biggest challenge is in terms of, like, hey, he's already met the team. They've been through practices, quote-unquote, together, all those things. Now, training camp's going to come. It's going to be a different animal. And I thought he hit it out of the park because I was thinking something offensive, quarterback, something that is the comparison with trying to change cultures, things like that. And he just goes, no, defense. I mean, you lose the greatest player in the history of the game on your side of the ball in your organization. And I go, what? That's as right as it gets. I mean, Jared Verse is a fine player. It's certainly not anything to fart at, but I mean, you're going to have your challenges there because it used to be, hey, let's circle 95 and work our way out. And now, you pay very close attention to 8. I don't know if the entire game plan is going to be around it like it was with Myles Garrett. Like you saw that with Pittsburgh, just walking out there in the field, they won that football game. Just having Myles Garrett out there defensively. And I think that having him out there has helped you win other football games. We've just never seen such a stark example of it like what happened last year against the Steelers. It's going to be a more difficult life for them and a more difficult life for Todd Monken because of that.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I'm really intrigued about the value of Mason Graham. I was very supportive of that trade down and that pick.
Yeah.
But it is interesting if, like, Mason Graham is a lot less effective at doing what he does because they don't have a Myles Garrett, then it would make me kind of question, a lot of things because we didn't know. There weren't a lot of games in recent years where Myles just wasn't there, right? So, or then a game wasn't that important or whatever. It was hard to evaluate their defense like normal defenses because you had this all-time cheat code that was winning so many battles and was drawing so many double teams and then also, getting help with the chips and all those different things and then having quarterbacks. I mean, my God, you watched the Pittsburgh Steelers game last year and you saw how Pittsburgh didn't run a normal offense because Myles Garrett was there. Myles Garrett didn't have any stats that game necessarily, right? But that you could tell his impact on the game. Well, now that's gone. So you're going to be able to evaluate the Browns like other traditional normal defenses. And I'm just wondering how that looks for guys like Mason Graham and other guys on that defensive line. And also Carson Swessinger. Like it does change a lot of, the evaluation when it comes to that.
Well, it's also, and you lose Mike Rutenberg, so there's going to be a challenge there. Or excuse me, you lose Jim Schwartz, you bring in Mike Rutenberg, there's going to be a challenge there. And obviously they knew something was going on based on the Rutenberg answer that I highlighted before the move was made. I do think, though, that it was probably privately discussed amongst the players that this might be the end of Myles Garrett. So I don't know if this is the type of, again, I know Alex Wright said he went and he had a drink. They just didn't seem to be shocked. And so it's a challenge because you lose that player. But is it the type of emotional challenge that I think that would come with losing a guy who's, by the time it's all said and done, could be the best pass rusher ever lived? I don't know. I don't know. Not that he was a bad guy, not that he was a villain to them, not that he was a bad teammate or anything. He just wasn't that type of cuddly, touchy-feely type of player that we tend to love. The full package. It wasn't the full package. And I think that now you'll have a Jared Verse guy who has to step into that role, and you go from a very, very good program, good organization, to an organization that's not known that well. And so you have to step in there and you have to help and be a leader. And I think that they'll probably respond to that. They're an emotional group, but I think they'll probably respond to Jared Verse. It's a hit. You lose the stats. The stats matter. Turning second down into third and long, the stats matter a great deal. It's not that we don't care about stats here, but there's also going to be another piece of this where if you get 10 sacks, if you're Jared Verse, do you make up with leadership? I think that in so many ways you do. It doesn't beat 23 sacks. I'm not going to be stupid. I'm not going to talk stupid to anybody. But it's not the type of hit that I originally thought it was going to be. And it's still going to be a challenge to Todd Monken. It's still going to be a challenge to this football team. But I think if you do this the right way and you get that help from Jared Verse, I think it could end up being a pretty good thing in the long run, depending on how this all works out. But we've been over that several times, and we'll continue to go over it several times. I often claim ignorance because I am ignorant to these things. I don't see them. I do not see them. So I'm going to say the whole, I've never seen this before, and so many of you don't believe me. I swear to God on my kids, on my dead mother in the basement. I have not seen this comparison that Lima is about to bring up to me when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. Honest to God, I have no idea.
Do you have a lot of them blocked or muted? Is that what's
no?
going on
I just
here?
don't see them. I don't know what you said something about first years,
guys,
and I just went fine. We'll put it in the show, and I'm going to let you go ahead and
Shedeur
ride.
fans, let the record show. I at least read your hate-filled materials and responses. I at least will look at it. Ken, I mean, he just doesn't believe in him so much that he has you guys all blocked.
I don't get hate like you. I don't block it. Who did I block?
Anyway, here is the post that I'm getting a lot of. Last week, it was his one game versus Brendan Sorsby, 2 or 3 years ago. This week, it's here is the chart of all the Hall of Fame quarterbacks and their struggles in their first 7 games. And it's got Peyton Manning, 8 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Troy Aikman, 0-7, 4 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Elway, 1-6, 3 touchdowns, 14 interceptions.
Okay.
And that's Terry Bradshaw, Josh Allen, Steve Young, Vinny Testaverde made the list. Trevor Lawrence, Drew Brees, Matt Stafford. And to that, I always got this because remember Baker Mayfield, we got this illustrated a bunch of times at the start and how Baker had better stats than all these Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And here it's just that Shedeur is on par with these Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And it just is kind of funny. Like,
was I willing to do it for Baker back in the day?
You know
when we made these comparisons? I don't know.
I just think then you could do this.
I think I was. I'm going to go under the guys that I was.
My issue is this would be interchangeable. You'd have to also say this for Dylan Gabriel. You'd have to say it for all the bad quarterbacks and the guys that statistically were horrendous when they first started. Now, I have none of the deeper dive numbers like the EPA per play for all these, the interceptable throws, the, accuracy markers that we have today, which, of course, Shedeur was like historically bad since they've been tracking this stuff. He was historically bad. Now, you can say, well, here are the 100 reasons he was historically bad, but that's fine. Like, I'm not saying Shedeur can't get better. I'm just saying it doesn't look good. Like, here are a lot of the indicators. They don't look good for him, and he's got a lot to overcome. Because when you're telling me, like, oh, accuracy is his thing, he was actually one of the least accurate passers we've had as a rookie. So, but they have better ways to describe these things and to take them into consideration. You just telling me that he has similar stats to all these Hall of Fame quarterbacks, okay, I could do that with every quarterback that plays. You wouldn't argue for all those other quarterbacks.
Well, no, you would just say that the other quarterbacks who you don't even know because they don't get brought up because they just continue to be bad.
Yeah, Josh Rosen. I'm sure his numbers looked as bad as all these Hall of Fame quarterbacks. That's not a reason to believe in Josh Rosen. I wouldn't say, like Kenny, I wouldn't play Howard Stern's very first year in radio and compare it to anybody applying for a job here that's worked in a small market or maybe did a podcast and say, well, Howard Stern's first year was bad. That wouldn't be a way to hire somebody, right?
No.
Like, that's just, I don't understand throwing these numbers. If all you're saying is, hey, he might get better, these guys got better, sure. And so could everybody else that's ever played quarterback.
Well, I mean, if I really wanted to do, well, actually, because I'm looking at, I just don't
it's
like
not really a vote of confidence in Shedeur, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
it has nothing to do with it.
Let me do this, because this ends up being a longer thing than I thought it was going to be. Take Dylan Gabriel out of it, because nobody intended Dylan Gabriel to be a starter. We intend for Shedeur Sanders to be a starter. So Shedeur actually shares something with those other guys. Those were all intended to be starters. Take out Terry Bradshaw.
Oh, wait, he was drafted after Dylan Gabriel.
It
so
doesn't
obviously
matter.
The Browns had hopes in Dylan Gabriel.
Did they?
Well, then why wouldn't they have taken Shedeur there?
Your guess is as good as mine, Tone. I have no idea. I'm only going by the right now because Dylan Gabriel is not in the conversation to be a starter. Shedeur Sanders is. So I take Dylan Gabriel out of it because I don't consider Dylan Gabriel to be starting quality or the hopes for starting
Even
quality.
though his numbers were on par with Peyton Manning and Troy Aikman and John Elway.
Then you go ahead.
You see how silly this is?
Yeah, I understand that. I also don't want to compare Terry Bradshaw and Vinny Testaverde. I think it's a bygone era. Especially Terry Bradshaw.
Of course it is.
Because I mean, you go back and you look at some of the stats of what we consider to be good quarterbacks. You see the touchdown interception ratio, and you go, what? Like, how on? It's a different game. It's just a different game. I mean, and I try to find reasons why, and I still kind of go, I still don't know. So take those guys out of it. Now, I've been a Shedeur defender on multiple fronts. I cannot claim to be a person who says he's going to be a franchise quarterback. Just you guys wait and see.
Yeah, you're not saying that.
The only thing I've made is the argument to give him a chance. And the rest of the stuff I think has been said about him has been asinine.
He is being given a chance. He's in a competition.
So when I've not seen this graphic. When it comes to these other players, I don't find fault in them putting them with him for the only reason, this is it, is that they believe he's going to be a franchise guy. Now, because I'm not there yet, I still expect him to be a starter at some point. Because he's expected to be a starter, fine. Go ahead and throw him in those names. Go and throw him in with those names.
And then do we put Jackson Dart in with these names? Do we?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
And do we put Shook? Do we put?
Yeah.
All of them.
You can do that.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and do that. Because I'm not sitting there trying to rip on.
Then what's the point of this exercise is what I'm saying.
They're just trying to tell you that they think he's good. I don't know what else to tell you. I've not seen this.
But you see how silly this is. Why don't we just throw every quarterback who's ever played and who struggles in their first 7 games and say, look at Peyton Manning, look at Troy Aikman, look at John Elway.
But I think we do that.
This is not a case for Shedeur Sanders.
I think we do that. You just said we did it with Baker. Now, Baker's not a bad quarterback. He's not a Hall of Famer.
No, the
He's
Baker
not an
thing was that
all-pro
his
level
numbers
guy.
were better than these guys.
Exactly. So if we do that with Baker, who was taken number 1 overall and was expected to be a starting guy, now this guy wasn't taken number 1 overall, but he's expected to be a starter. I don't understand the big issue. Now, I would say, yeah, if his career ends up like those guys, it'd be a tremendous story. But I'm not mad over people making those comparisons. The only thing I get annoyed with, honestly, is the completion percentage in training camp, because it's just so silly to me. That's the only one where I just give the side eye to everybody, go, come on, you guys are better than this. But if we're going to compare him to guys who ended up having Hall of Fame careers in their first seasons, go ahead, knock yourself out. It's no hair off my ass. I don't care. Should I care? Am I doing this wrong?
No,
Am I lying to you by saying I don't care? Is that what you think?
I think it's a gigantic waste of time. I think you do it with, I'm sure there were running backs that struggled right away.
Clearly.
I'm sure there were
Well, Trent Richardson, his only good year was with us.
I remember they were doing this with comparisons like Evan Mobley to Giannis. Look at Evan Mobley's better right off the bat than Giannis. And, here we are in year 5.
I can guarantee you that I was one of the people who wanted to buy into that. So how am I supposed to accuse a Shedeur fan of impropriety, of their own thoughts of what this guy's going to be when you're giving me examples of things I bought into? I'm not sure I bought into the Baker thing, that what you just did. I'm about 95%. Me knowing me probably bought into that. I'm about 95% me knowing me probably bought into the Evan Mobley comparison. So why am I supposed to rip on Shedeur for something like that? I can't. Or how am I supposed to rip on the fans for something like that? I can't, and I won't. They want to get in on you. You've done it again, Tone.
Let's go.
9 o'clock, Justin Terman again. This gambling stuff's going to get way worse before it gets better. It's one of those little things that come with legalizing it that not a lot of people realize. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on The Fan. Northeast Factor Direct and NortheastFactorDirect.com. In your home.
hosts make your reaction a part of our shows. Powered by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
On the road this summer? Get the most live sports talk in Ohio on 92.3 The Fan. Or binge our podcast on the Odyssey app.
I was going to bring up this gambling thing, but you got them all worked into a shoot. Congratulations.
Did anybody post?
Stop eating your breakfast on the air, Jason.
Did anybody post?
What are you doing? Put that away. Stop. You're like picking at it. Still, you just want me to take the calls from the Shador fans, and then you can eat your breakfast?
Did anybody
pig?
It's not my fault these Kind bars fall apart.
Why are you eating granola bars to begin with?
Just crumble all over the place.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know why you guys eat that stuff to begin with. That and the other one. What's the other brand? I don't want to mention name brands.
I just drink my ranch dressing straight.
But you guys eat these things, and all you do, I don't even know how you get any in your mouth. It just goes all over the table what you're eating.
It's disgusting.
Stupid.
We need a dustbuster live. Also make.
I don't understand how you guys like the taste of those things in the first place.
I want to know, did anybody...
It's like eating old wood that termites got to. Great. Falling apart in your hand and your mouth. Yum.
Do the Shador people realize we could have done this same exercise of posting the Hall of Fame graphic of quarterbacks that struggled when Deshaun Kaiser struggled in his first 7 games?
I understand that.
Next 10 games.
Yeah, I understand that. I just don't get bothered by everything they do. Every fan base is going to make themselves feel better about their player and going to defend players. So I don't get mad. Like, it is what it is. I used to get mad. I used to get mad at PFF when they used to say things so great about Cody Kessler. I'm like, come on. But fans, I don't get mad because I used to accuse back in the day. I used to accuse PFF of being like Miss Cleo. You just went to the website to make yourself feel better about how things were going.
I thought that was a good line.
Well, I didn't mean to do it all the time, and then we ended up meeting people from PFF, and I liked those guys. And now the ones I like, they're not there anymore.
And the company got sold.
So I go rip it on PFF again if I really want to.
Comes full circle.
Yeah, but like you mentioned Tyler Shook. I'm like, yeah, throw Shook in there. Throw Jackson Dart in there if you want to. That's fine. Make yourself feel better about it. You got a young guy. If you don't have hope, then what the hell do you have? You might as well have hope. And that goes for Jackson Dart, who was taken in the first round, and Shook, who was taken in the second round, and Shador Sanders, who was taken in the 5th round, because all are expected to start at some point this year. Now, yeah, Shook and Dart will be week 1 starters. It's up in the air whether or not Shador will be. And I think that this is part of the argument. Because if I were a guy if I dropped in on the Browns and I was that big of a fan of one player, and I just dropped in as a Browns fan and go, well, I'm going to be a Browns fan just because they drafted my favorite quarterback and this is the way it goes. I'm not above making those arguments. I'm not. Because you get very defensive about your player. And I brought up that I can't sit there and attack him over. Now, some of the defenses being brought up, yeah, I've given the side eye before. I've done it on the air. But it just so happens recently, I've been kind of understanding of where some of their gripes are. When it came to the Sorsby stuff, I thought it was absolutely ridiculous, all the excuses being made for Brendan Sorsby. Or, well, it goes to church. I'm like, I'm sorry, did this guy not just get baptized in front of God and everybody on social media a month ago? And we're talking about Brendan Sorsby and how often he goes to church and all this other stuff? I mean, come on, that's asinine.
Well, 2 girlfriends also.
Yeah, that doesn't matter to me either. So if he's a virgin, he's allowed to gamble all he wants. Is that how that goes? So I just thought some of it was just dumb. And if I think that some of it is dumb and I think some of it is hypocritical, I'm going to call it out for hypocrisy. And damn it, I thought a lot of this was hypocritical. And it was with that and even with some of the stuff. Like, I think some of you guys get so damn upset and so damn obsessed with your mentions every damn day. It's like, you see the forest for the trees, guys. Well, what else do we got? It's either Shador. If Deshaun Watson starts the season, not many people are going to like that. It's plain fact, but at least you have someone to look forward to. If Shador Sanders starts the season, you got someone to look forward to right off the rip. And it'd be great if he did well, because I don't have a future with Deshaun Watson. I told you, even if they make the playoffs with Deshaun Watson, I might tag him. I might go as far as the franchise tag. I'm drafting a quarterback in the first round. I'm trading up. I don't give a damn. Even if they go to the playoffs with him. Because I think that might be fool's gold. With this guy, at least he'd be young. I'd still probably be going in that direction, maybe, but I'd like to see it because I look at a 20-something younger quarterback, and maybe that's exactly what I want. I'm just so much more open-minded to the future of Shedeur than I am with anybody else in that quarterback room.
This is the beauty of the fact that he gets a chance now. He gets a real opportunity. We all know last year was insane and ridiculous, the setup. By the way, for all 4 quarterbacks, not just Shedeur. Yes, he was the last one in the pecking order, but all of them, it didn't make sense.
Okay, 216-474-0092. Let me get to one person real quick. Let me get to Chuck in Cleveland Heights. There we go. Chuck, hello.
Yo, what up, man? What's up, man? What's going on?
What's happening, Chuck? Go ahead.
You already know. So I'm going to be more positive today. You know what I mean? I don't want you guys to think I hate the show. I love it. I know I call in and every now and then I'm real
thank you, Chuck.
Angry.
What's going on?
So let me say this. I just want to start with this. The problem is gone, guys, so we need to look towards the future. Kevin Stefanski was the problem. He didn't evolve with the rest of the league. They knew what he was going to call. Then you turn around and throw a rookie in there that didn't have any reps. It led to one of the worst stats as a quarterback had in NFL history, which I did challenge you, Lima, to also say, the rest of the spiel, which you didn't, still won't. But it's all good. He had a terrible line, terrible receivers, no quarterback. That was a rookie with no reps to come in and do any better than what he did. Quick question. 3 and 4 is what he went, right? You've seen the 2 games that Kevin kind of threw. I mean, does that factor in? What if he would have went,
He threw the games?
Well, yeah, when you run an end around and it touched 3 rookies' hands.
Well, you can say he's stupid. You could say it was okay. Chuck, you could say it's stupid, but say
just be careful with the Malik Beasley stuff out there.
Yeah, with all that stuff going on out there, Chuck, we got to be careful how we say it. I get what you're saying. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, Barry loves this kid and definitely believes in him and believes that he's going to be the franchise quarterback. Let's talk about Monken. He hired Monken, brought him in. Monken recruited Shedeur twice at Georgia, was trying to recruit him to be on the team. Also for the Ravens, which Shedeur passed up. Now he's here. So someone, I think you was just talking about common sense, Lima. It's common sense that all of the stars are starting to align, and they made a clear runway for Shedeur by getting rid of Pickett last year, by getting rid of Flacco, which Flacco the next game went and threw for 500 on an offense that he never been with, which tells you that the offense here was vanilla. Okay?
Well, sometimes, by the way, sometimes vanilla can be good for a young quarterback,
Chuck,
right? I mean,
yeah, I don't want to mix it up too much with young guys because Chuck, I wish I could give you more time because I got to bring Justin in here at 9:00. The only thing I disagree with,
I didn't even disagree with much of what Chuck said.
I really don't disagree with much of what Chuck said, other than I think Barry does like Shedeur. I don't think he's willing to go as far as franchise. Same thing as me. I really like Shedeur. I'm not willing to go that far because you wouldn't have traded Myles Garrett if you thought that he was the guy. Because you keep your greatest players. You don't just make the mix up to bring in other guys later on. So that part I have to disagree with. But I would go as far to say, yeah, Andrew Barry's got a guy in the quarterback room that could have a future. They're going to go ahead and they're going to try to see if that guy does have a future. And if he doesn't, well, they're going to go out and they're going to draft another guy. It's not where they're not. I don't find it disrespectful to be looking at the 2027 class. I find it, I'm not going to say generational. I think we've tricked ourselves into that before. But yeah, there seems to be a lot of quarterbacks in there. But just because I have it written down, and I do, doesn't mean I'm going to completely disregard our current quarterback room that we have now. I just only see one guy who I think I have any chance at any sort of a future with.
I agree with you. By the way, I know that'd be shocking to people.
Considering the way you talk, but yeah, you ultimately agree with me in the end. But why is one of us getting cussed out? And it ain't me. Coming up next, a guy who'd love to cuss us out, Justin Termini, host of NBA Today on SiriusXM NBA Radio. Guys, free agency starts at 6 p.m. tonight, Eastern time in the NBA. Are the Cavs sitting on their hands? Because there was some Thomas Bryant news yesterday. People were upset even getting that news. James Harden, he's still out there making some work being done with his contract. Can the Cavs lure LeBron James back home? Well, Justin Termini's going to answer that question in 5 minutes on The Fan. Let me tell you about this. I don't need
listen to us live, we've got you covered. You can hear the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima, Basket and Phelps, an afternoon drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin as a podcast. Full hours, full shows. Find it all on the Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
You know, last time we brought on a distinguished guest from Sirius NBA Radio, it got hot and heavy. I got into it.
Can I be honest?
We're going to do it again.
You needed to read the room better. That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. My bosses over at 8 loved it, but that was ridiculous. They thought the video was amazing, and I'm like, we're not putting that video out. No. Why not? Because it's asinine. It was ridiculous. Bring him on.
We got a little combative. You know what?
Bring Justin on.
Fine. I'm going to do what
Make sure you mention his YouTube video.
I'm going to do what Ken always tells me to do as Justin Termini joins us on the Wise Heart Right. We make it right. Call Kyle Wright hotline. I'm going to improve my bedside manner, Kenny. And I'm going to welcome in the guest, Justin Termini.
Be a jerk to people.
And
Give us their time.
I'm very pleased to have such a great guest on with us right now. How are you, Justin?
I'm doing well, and yeah, that was a really one-sided argument. Gelsiler owns you there, so hopefully you treat me with more respect than you treated Gelsiler, who, to me, I would have hung up on you and stayed hung up on you.
I think he did hang up, but
he
welcomed
didn't.
him
He
back.
didn't. He wasn't going to give you the satisfaction. That's why I loved about it. He stood in there, and he should have hung up on you, and he stood in there, and he argued with you, and I got very uncomfortable as time went on. Anything else there, Tone?
I'm excited to have a normal discussion with our guest right now.
Well, it sounds like we're not going to have a normal discussion, so I guess I will ask him the first question now as we conduct this interview. Hello, Justin. Ken Carman here, 92.3 The Fan. Are we going to be able to bring LeBron James back home?
It seems like LeBron's trying to negotiate maybe a raise here from the Lakers to get as most money as possible or go to Golden State. I don't really understand the Golden State thing. I don't know if you guys do. Like, you're a Cavalier, right? His biggest rival during the heart of his career with the team he's most associated with is supposed to be Golden State. It's supposed to be Steph Curry, and you're telling me that he's going to spend the last year of his career teamed up with him in a city that probably disdains him outside more than any other city outside of maybe Boston. Why would you conclude your career in Golden State? Again, I don't understand that one, but he's done stuff in the past I don't understand. I don't think he's going to end his career in Cleveland. I think he wants to live in L.A., and that's where he's been the last several years, even though I would recommend he goes to Cleveland because I think it's the one city that he's probably loved without qualification.
Why is it, Justin, that it seems like with a month left to go in the regular season or whatever, there was optimism about the Cavs roster, and then they get to the NBA Eastern Conference Finals, and now everybody's like, well, why would LeBron want to go there? Why would Giannis want to go there and sign an extension? Why would Kawhi want to go there? Like, how did the Cavs, by virtue of getting further and become one of the final 4 teams playing basketball, turn out to be some huge joke to people?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I can't speak to that because that's not how I view it. The way they went out was pathetic. They are still leaps and bounds away from, I think, winning an NBA championship. They're not the Knicks. They're not the Thunder. They're not the San Antonio Spurs. But they're also not a team that, lost in the first round. They're not the Philadelphia 76ers where it's hopeless. They have a lot better shot of, if LeBron were to put himself on the Cavaliers or put himself on the Heat or put himself on the Warriors, I would say his best chance of winning would be with Cleveland. He'd have a better chance of winning in Cleveland with their current supporting cast than he would if he went to this version of the Golden State Warriors, if he went to even this version of the Miami Heat, who I think, despite Giannis, are very thin and would not be as good if you just inserted them into the Cavaliers lineup. So I can't personally speak to that because I don't agree with it.
Justin Termini joining us on the show. It's weird. I think he knows that we love him so much, and that's probably why he's not going to come back, because he knows that probably he's going to be loved no matter what. So he doesn't feel a pressure to come back here. LeBron James does there, Justin?
But he wants to go to Golden State. Like, wouldn't that alienate him at all to that fan base? It's like the city that you could be. Like, I'm not saying it's as great as like the Magic Johnson-Larry Bird rivalry, but, you know, they went up against each other, 4 times in the NBA Finals, and then you're telling me that, like, Magic Johnson's going to say, you know what, I'm going to play the last year of my career in Boston, and that would fly with the LA fan? Like, so would it fly in Cleveland that LeBron finished his career in Golden State, or they just understand that he's basically a mercenary? Like, is that just how they view him? I mean, how would that go over in Cleveland?
I think that's a very emotional conversation that I think I'd like to ask people after we get off the phone with
I think it's a great question, Justin, because it will be like every LeBron discussion. It will totally be dependent on how grateful you are that he won the championship for us. Because there are some people at times, I got to say, that don't sound all that grateful. That they wish it would have been the baseball team or the football team and not the basketball team. And to those people, LeBron can do no right. To normal people and normal Cleveland fans, I think at this stage, it's just so late in his career. I just don't think you can be that mad.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you'd like some idea that there's a connection there, that they care. I mean, like, look at Steph. Steph's willing to, I guess, not win the rest of his career in order to have that connection with the fan base forever. That's something that, you know, LeBron will just never be able to have. I would assume, again, I can't speak for the Cleveland fan, but a guy that's like bouncing around and doesn't show any reciprocal, like, hey, I love you guys too, you know, seems like it'd be a little weird. And that's something that Steph has by remaining in Golden State. It's like we're talking about LeBron going to join him. We're not talking about Steph joining LeBron or Steph going to some other city that just doesn't care about him.
Justin Termini joining us right now on the hotline. So you're noticing teams are trying to do everything they can because of the aprons to improve their team on the margins. So when that happens, it seems like every move gets ripped, whether it's LaMelo Ball, that trade. I mean, anything you've seen so far in the offseason. Is there anybody that's really changing their strata? Like, do you feel like the Heat are now fighting for Eastern Conference supremacy with their move?
No, I feel like they're fighting to be a top 6 seed. I mean, I don't think that Miami is better than New York. I don't think Miami is better than Boston. I don't think Miami is better than Indiana coming back healthy. I'm not sure they're better than the Pistons, who were the number 1 seed last year. I don't think they're better than Cleveland. If Cleveland comes back and is motivated and doesn't kind of just, I guess fall prey to the continuity, and we've been going at it so long, maybe we're bored by the regular season. Heck, I don't know if they're better than Toronto, who really played you guys tough in the first round there, and defensively is as good as it gets, because Giannis is going to need to load manage throughout much of the season. They don't have any shooting whatsoever. Their offense is going to be horrific. Their defense will be great. They have a really good head coach down there, but I think that they're a team that's basically fighting for the play-in. So I'm not sure they're much different than the last couple of years down in Miami.
Tone, hold on here. Hold on here for just a second here. They're not better. So why are we so critical of the Cavs and needing to make a move? Because I've heard some wild stuff here over the last week. I mean, I've heard some people kind of turn on Donovan Mitchell because of their willingness to want to trade Donovan Mitchell for Jaylen Brown, but not want to trade Evan Mobley, which I don't understand why the Celtics would like that. There's big conversations about Evan Mobley's future. And whether or not he's ever going to reach this level that I think that I have probably falsely brought up for a lot of fans. Like, there is a lot of consternation in this fan base here, Justin. You're kind of making it sound like, hey, maybe running it back isn't such a bad thing after all.
Well, no, I disagree with that, too, because if your goal is to win the championship, this team's not capable of winning the championship, especially as, a second apron team. Why would they do that? That would make no sense, and then you hurt your ability to, have these frozen draft picks in the future. So I wouldn't run this team back. I think you do need to make some moves. You're good enough to, again, it depends on what your goal is. Are you fine with being a really good second-round team, maybe making the conference finals and hopefully doing a little bit better than you did this past year? Okay, then run it back. But if you're hoping to win an NBA championship, then maybe you do have to take a risk. I didn't realize that conversation was taking place in Cleveland. There are people that think you should trade Donovan Mitchell for Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, Donovan Mitchell to me is a better player than Jaylen Brown. Plus, you're dealing with a guy that's not going to be like a bit of a distraction. Jaylen Brown, I think one of the reasons that Boston wants to move him is they're sick of all the off the court, like whining and playing victim and, not necessarily accepting his role, where it's like Jason Tatum's clearly the best, but Jaylen Brown wants the credit for being the best. So I would not do that if I was Cleveland, and I think Boston in a heartbeat. I think Boston in a heartbeat would do either a trade for Donovan Mitchell or for Evan Mobley.
Really? Because my whole contention has been, and by the way, I'm not having an argument here, Justin. I'll acquiesce to you, buddy. My whole contention is, well, if you guys don't want Donovan Mitchell, why would Boston want Donovan Mitchell? I mean, isn't it kind of aren't the metrics kind of similar there, Tone? Isn't it player for player? But you're saying Boston would love to have Donovan Mitchell instead of Jaylen Brown? He's become that much of a problem for that organization?
Well, I think at this standpoint, like look at some of the, like Shams last night's talking about the Celtics getting 40 cents on the dollar. And let me ask you that, like I sent out literally a tweet about 15 minutes ago at Termini Radio at TERMINE Radio. And I basically said that NBA teams' apparent lack of interest in Jaylen Brown at the age of 29, after he finished sixth in the MVP award voting, says a lot more than like any analytic can say about how bad Jaylen Brown is. Like, let me ask you, if Jaylen Brown is so good, why are teams so hesitant to deal for him when he's 29 years of age?
Know.
It's not like Jaylen Brown's 34.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown has 3 years left on his contract. So typically, like a great player who's 29 years of age, the only thing he'd be hesitant about, wow, he can opt out after next season. He has 3 years left on his deal. He's 29. He stays relatively healthy. He just finished sixth in the MVP voting. Why aren't teams knocking down the door? And then I'll also ask this. This isn't like Nico Harrison trading Jaylen Brown or some bad general manager. This is Brad Stevens, who just, he's won an NBA championship. He's well respected. He just won Executive of the Year. And this is a really good organization in Boston who's saying, hey, we're fine parting ways with Jaylen Brown. So what does that say about Jaylen Brown if teams are so hesitant to deal for him and the Celtics are so willing to part ways with him? To me, that says something about Jaylen Brown. Whether these organizations agree with the analytics, they're just afraid to say it out loud, or whether like they think just Jaylen Brown's too much of a handful because he's always yapping about something. Like, who knows what it is? But there's obviously a reason teams are hesitant. Is there not? Does that make sense to you?
Although it does. No, it's a hell of an argument.
Justin, devil's advocate, wouldn't you have used that same point against like when Karl Anthony Towns was being traded? Well, why are teams hesitant to go after Karl Anthony Towns? And then here we are, and he's a champion, and people have a totally different view of him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Jaylen Brown is viewed as like maybe a better player than Karl Anthony Towns. Like, yeah, of course, Towns was a number one overall pick, but he just wasn't, I think, viewed the same way that that Jaylen Brown was, and certainly didn't ask to be viewed the same way that, like, Karl Anthony Towns wasn't saying, I'm better than Anthony Edwards, I'm the best player on this team. He wasn't being difficult. Jaylen Brown kind of has been, and, Jaylen Brown had a finals MVP. He's finishing higher in MVP voting than Karl Anthony Towns. So I just think the way that we view as a public, maybe not within the league, but the public, the way they view Jaylen Brown is at a higher level.
What about Evan Mobley? Would you be so quick to move off of him?
I mean, it depends on what it's for. If it was for, say, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you weren't throwing in like extra draft picks, then yeah, I would have done that because, what's the point? James Harden's getting older, Donovan Mitchell's getting older, Jarrett Allen's getting older. This hasn't worked the last couple of years. Why don't you go for it with a guy who, to me, when healthy, is the third best player in the sport behind just Jokic and Wembanyama. Like at times could be even higher than that, but I think he's better than SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If you told me he's healthy for the next couple of years, so you team him with Donovan Mitchell, yeah, I would move off Evan Mobley for that. I'm not sure I would move off him for Jaylen Brown. That might be like, hey, your problem for our problem, or we're getting antsy, you're getting antsy. Let's make that move, but I wouldn't move him for anything.
What is it about the analytical debate that we are being confronted with right now? How is it that people don't know how to accurately assess a player like Jaylen Brown, who I think is fantastic? He's everything that I think like the Cavs have been missing, being able to play make on offense, hitting tough shots against good defense, the pedigree of an Eastern Conference Finals MVP, NBA Finals MVP, all the defense that he can turn up in the playoffs, and yet we don't have numbers that reflect that.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange. The analytics must mean, like, why are they always negative on Jaylen Brown, but just about every other player that we view as great? Like, the analytics are good, right? Can you name another player like that? Like, I think if you go through all the All-NBA players, first and second team, the only other one that was a negative from a on-off perspective was Kevin Durant, and that was like at 0.8, whereas with Jaylen Brown, it was negative 5.6, and then forget about it with the MVP candidates like Jokic, like SGA, like Wembanyama. Like, their on-off numbers were like astronomical, like 10 plus. With Jokic, it's like 16, 17, 18 on a typical basis. So the analytics must mean something. They're not completely irrelevant. And I watched Jaylen Brown 41 home games this year plus the playoffs, like in person. I will tell you this, like, his usage rate is really high. The ball sticks. So I don't think he makes his teammates better. And I think that's a negative for Jaylen Brown. And then I think his off-ball defense is absolutely horrific. He's a very good on-ball defender, but he falls asleep off the ball. And then this is something like where it's different between like postseason player, regular season player. I do think he turns it on defensively during the postseason. For example, in the finals a couple of years ago, he took on the challenge of guarding Luka, but you could watch him against, say, Chicago on a random Tuesday night. He's the worst defender on the floor, probably for both teams because he's completely disengaged. But if he's got like the Lakers in a big game, if he's got Kawhi Leonard in a big game where he dropped 50 points on the Clippers earlier this year and guarded Kawhi essentially one-on-one, like, he'll turn it up. So, there are some things there where you could see like how the analytics do lead to how they view Jaylen Brown. I mean, the seventh best on a team, as Bobby Marks indicated, some executive told him, is completely ridiculous. But you could see how they aren't necessarily a positive for Jaylen Brown at times.
Listen to him on SiriusXM NBA Radio, the NBA Today with him and Eddie Johnson. Also, the host of Termini Crashes Out on YouTube. Justin, thank you very much for the time, my friend.
Well, thanks for handling it with a little bit more professionalism this time. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, we certainly appreciate your professionalism. Pet your dog for me. We appreciate it. He was on the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. Coming up in 5 minutes. No city loves LeBron like we do. He knows that. That's why he's not coming back. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
Welcome.
alienate him at all to that fan base? It's like, I'm not saying it's as great as like the Magic Johnson-Larry Bird rival, but they went up against each other, 4 times in the NBA Finals, and then you're telling me that like Magic Johnson's going to say, you know what, I'm going to play the last year of my career in Boston, and that would fly with the LA fan? Like, so would it fly in Cleveland that LeBron finished his career in Golden State, or they just understand that he's basically a mercenary?
That's Justin Termini, SiriusXM NBA Radio. Termini crashes out on YouTube. He was just with us moments ago. You know, he brought that up. And I asked on social media reactions on X are brought to you by
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Were you eating some of my Cliff Bar?
You okay?
Is that what's happening?
Stop eating granola. Stop it.
We call it crumble.
It ruins everything. More cigarettes, less granola around here.
Somehow Austin Carr, before every game, like just immerses himself in popcorn. And I do not understand how a broadcaster
I can't
can
eat
do
the
that.
popcorn because you get the kernel stuck in between your teeth and it bothers you for the rest of the night. Can't do it. Unless you have floss handy. He brought up that he thinks that would alienate Cavs fans. Because was there another Instagram? I don't follow the guy I should. Was there another Instagram story of him saying he was giving a tour around the city or something like that? I don't know what's real and what's not. I wonder if anything is AI anymore. No,
this is real.
That was a real Instagram story by him.
His beard, I feel like he just wants to see.
He's starting to look like Gandalf.
How gray it can get.
Yeah, it's gray.
He is not doing the Just for Men. He's not doing any of that stuff.
He's veteran, man.
I kind of like it.
He's veteran. Like, I don't think, I got to tell you, do you think because he's been pretty, his hairline has been brought into question a bunch of times.
He gave up.
I was going to say, is he a guy who ever goes to Turkey like when it's all done, or is that it?
Well, it's weird. I don't think of him as wanting to do a bunch of acting. Maybe 10 years ago, I would have thought that could have been something he wanted to do. Now, I think he is just all business.
Okay.
All business. That's all I think he's going to care about.
Like he doesn't get the Brian Urlacher. Was Urlacher a Turkish flight, or was that something else?
No, that was in the greater Chicagoland.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's on every billboard
really?
Around the area.
How much is the flight to Turkey to do that? And the whole thing, what's that run you?
I can tell you it's a lot better to do it right here with Vanscoy Hair Clinics in Northeast Ohio.
That's right. Well done.
But listen, the LeBron thing.
True.
The LeBron thing is really interesting. Yeah, you don't want to get photographed in the food court. All those poor guys in Turkey.
No, I remember the one was the continental breakfast at the thing, and they're all there, and it's all the bandages are on. It's like, well,
hilarious.
Got to have your breakfast. At least you're getting something free.
I have to say, I disagree with Termini, except for the people that already just don't like LeBron.
Somebody just brought that up on social media, and I thought it was a great point.
If you don't like LeBron, you're going to look for yet another reason to say he betrayed Northeast Ohio. He's a mercenary. The term mercenary, it's just funny at 20, how many years in his career. That's obviously going to stick with him for the people that don't like him.
I don't think he's a mercenary,
I don't care.
Mercenaries just go wherever the money is. I think he's created... he's been the gravitational pull anywhere he's went. I can't call that a mercenary.
Yeah, he's won. He's been the reason
is
that his teams have won.
Dalton in Roadhouse a mercenary? I mean, technically, you would say, well, no. He creates the culture everywhere he goes. LeBron is the Dalton of the NBA.
Perfectly put.
Champions pose.
That's a beauty.
Thank you.
That's a Ken Carman classic. If there's ever been one.
Every Saturday night thing, yeah.
So for me, when you get to this long of a career, I feel like you get to do what you want on your terms, and I get it if you're staunchly against him in the MJ debate. You're going to say this is another reason to dock him. For me, I just don't care. I do think, actually, I've seen LeBron and Steph Curry play together in Team USA.
Well,
I think it's a pretty cool dynamic. I'm not going to like it.
I don't.
But I'm going to watch. There's no way I'm not watching as best I can.
Yeah. Can I admit something I don't like? If he goes to Golden State, it's weird. But I already said I make a way bigger deal about the move for his legacy than anybody ever will, and I think it's a losing argument. I don't think in 20 years I'm going to be going, well, he went to Golden State, so he can't be the best ever. That ain't I don't see that happening.
This should not be a deciding factor.
Yes, you said it, and somebody on social media said it. And by the way, all Cavs Conversations brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside Hard Iced Tea, who ask you to please enjoy your hard iced tea responsibly, as always. You brought up, somebody else did, that the people who already hate him, they just hate him. The people who don't, it ain't going to bother him. I don't like that he's doing the Firestone thing. I don't like that he's posting the stuff about his city, because I think it gets people's hopes up. And I don't like that. I don't.
Yeah, I'm trying not to, by the way. I mean, you could tell by my demeanor.
No, you've been very negative about it. Because
it's very different from what it was in 2014.
Everybody, you said McMenamin texted you flat out no. Like, nope, not happening. And if somebody's willing to go 5% chance, like Scoop B brought up a great reason why he would be there on Fox Sports. Like, he brought up a great reason why he would come back. It's a great reason why he would come back. The reasoning is there. The effort, the want to come back isn't, I don't know if that's there. I don't think it is. And so if it's not, all you're really doing is playing with people's emotions. Stop playing with your fans' emotions, because people here love him. And this is part of the reason I don't think he's coming back. The people who hate him, and that's not going to change. The people who love him. And more people, I would say 7 out of 10 people in Northeast Ohio love him. Would you say that?
Yeah.
Maybe even 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's a nice majority. So he has his fans. He has his home. He's always welcome back to Akron. He's always welcome back here. They'll honor him here. They'll build a statue of him here. He knows all this. So what's the point of him coming back? To chase something that he already accomplished? To possibly take the risk of leaving a bad memory for people if it doesn't go their way? Because not only would he be coming back for a retirement tour, you're coming back to compete to win. What's the point of doing that if you are not 100% sure you can do it? And I know he's a very proud man. Obviously, you would think you could do it. But if you don't, then you're just leaving maybe another different memory. Because I tell you, I move right past 2017 and 18 when I think about LeBron's second time here. I do not consider those years. It never crosses my mind until somebody brings it up. Like when you say the 17 team was actually better than the 2016 team, like that doesn't compute to me, because I think of the 2016 team as the end-all be-all. In 2018, it was a non-starter on anything. So if my mind ends there, I think a lot of people, they don't think about 2017 and 18, they just think about 16. And that to us is the crescendo. Why come back? He has no incentive to come back here. He really doesn't.
It's the nostalgia play.
Home, the nostalgia play.
And maybe that means nothing to him.
But and I don't think it does, because, again, for all the reasons I just said, they basically love him no matter what here. There's always going to be people who hate you. It's the way it goes. It's not 10 out of 10. It's probably 8 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10. But he is beloved. He's an icon. This is home, and it's all those reasons why, I'll go to Golden State. Because you just said it. The people who hate him are always going to hate him. They might just hate him more, or they really won't care. They'll be ambivalent if he goes to Golden State. The people who are hardcore Cavs fans, hey, we got our team we got to still worry about here. Good luck to you. You've been on the West Coast. I barely get to see you as it is. I'll barely get to see you then. Congratulations on all your success. Like, there is no nastiness I can feel, unless you guys feel differently, unless you're a bona fide LeBron fan, a bona fide fan of the Cavs, both, and you feel it would be sacrilegious for him to go to Golden State. I can't find anybody who has that feeling. Justin has that feeling. I don't. But Justin's hated LeBron. He's been a LeBron hater the entire time I've known him. We've known him for 15 years.
Yeah, you know what? On the day of the announcement, I'll be salty, but throughout,
I don't think I'll be salty.
Throughout the season, I'll watch. I'll want to watch. I want to see how that works.
I will be totally unbothered if he goes to Golden State. Completely unbothered. I guess the only place that I think I'd be bothered by is New York, like you had brought up, and it's not a realistic possibility, but you said it would make sense for him basketball-wise. I guess Miami, because it's a chance that we have to share more with them, and I don't want to share more with them. It's like, it's like your parents get divorced, and then your dad starts another family, and now I have these half brothers I have to deal with over. Like my dad had to deal with that. So it's like you have these half relatives you have to deal with. That's what Miami is for us. It's like, okay, we got to share dad with them at Christmas. Like, here we go. Like, that bothers you. But other than that, it has no effect with Golden State. None. I'm looking in my stomach to try to find some anger. I can't do it. So if he wants to go ahead and go to Golden State, go ahead and go to Golden State. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I wouldn't be mad at him. The only thing I kind of don't like is you don't need to be putting out the Instagram posts that you're in your city, you're at Firestone. You know the time of year. You know what it is. You know you're going to get people excited. Don't do this. Don't mess with people's emotions like that. Don't do that.
I'm surprised because I know people, when they come into Cleveland and they come back into town, they make sure not to put anything on social media because they don't want to be bothered by certain people. He's telling people exactly where he is.
Yeah, you got to go through a lot of hoops to get to him, That's I imagine.
Yeah.
All right, 216-474-0092. I really want to know, would you turn on LeBron if he ended up on Golden State? The people who hate him, if you just hate him and you want to go ahead and say you're going to keep hating him, fine. I can't stop you from that. I really want to know, from a person who considers themselves a hardcore Cavs fan, a LeBron fan, if he went to Golden State, would you turn on LeBron? Would that be the straw that broke the back? 216-474-0092. Ken Carman, Tone Master General on the Fan.
Brad Evans here. $65 at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever high-performance running shoes are sold.
Make the afternoon drive your soundtrack on the way into the Guardians games. And talk about the game on your way home on overtime. The best Guardians coverage is right here on Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
We got a Connie. That's not even a contest, actually.
I didn't think it was a Connie,
it's,
no.
It's a streamer. Hey, football,
You have
basketball, baseball talk coverage on 92.3 The Fan is presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi, one price, 5 years guaranteed. Xfinity, image that. What it says?
Could you just give me the thing?
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you. Basketball talk on 92.3 The Fan. It's presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi. One price, 5 years guaranteed. Xfinity. Imagine that. Wasn't hard, now was it?
I read it like it was written. Because you're an ass.
Because you subscribe to if I do it wrong once, then Ken's going to do it for the rest of the time. I hope you thank God every day you host with me, because if I go out and I get hit by a bus later on today, you got to do all the extras that you don't like to do by yourself. We all know how it goes. Left to your own devices. Plus, I mean, I always respond and get hooked by your games and your gimmicks and your sabotage and all the other things, because I'm not a very bright person, and even when I do think better, I still get hooked in. All right, would you hate LeBron, or would you turn on LeBron if he ended up going to Golden State? Justin Termini says yes. Now, I agree. I do agree with you. I agree with several people on the internet. I like LeBron. It doesn't matter to me. You won a championship. It's the only championship that the city has won in the last 50-plus years, because 60-plus years now. So if it's the only championship, it's so hard to be nasty. If the Browns and Guardians won championships, we could compare. We could compare. Like if we were doing sports talk radio in 1948, you could compare the Browns and the Indians. At that time, you would have said the Indians because Major League Baseball was a much, much bigger thing than the AAFL way back in that day. So you would have made that comparison, but you would have said Brown, or you would have said Indians. Like, there's no real comparison. It's the only one. They're the only entity that's won. So it's very, very hard to do it. And I can't see a scenario unless he does something horrific personally, and I'm not even going to entertain those thoughts unless he did something horrific. He's getting a statue, probably multiple statues, one in Cleveland, one in Akron. He's got the school. He's got the businesses. He's got the camps and the whole thing. He'll have his number retired. The team is connected to him forever. That means the fan base is connected to him forever, and he's from here. So because he's from here, and it's hard for me to muster up any anger towards him if he goes back to L.A., if he goes to Golden State. Miami, I told you, I'd be a little bit goofy about just because of the history that we both share him. Like, a half-brother would have to share a father there. It's kind of weird. But other than that, if you want to go to Golden State, knock yourself out. I only barely get to see a handful of times a year because you play on the West Coast anyway. I'd still barely get to see a handful of times a year if you went out to Golden State. So it's fine. If you're a LeBron person, he's almost Teflon. He really is. The only thing I don't like, the thing that I will be critical of him if he goes to Golden State or even goes back to L.A., doesn't come to Cleveland. You don't need to be sending out that type of Instagram stuff. You're getting people excited. You know what you're doing. You're too damn old to be doing that type of stuff. It's weird. You wanted to do it in 2010 and have your recruitment and have teams drive by and all that stuff. Fine. Doing it now at 41, it's weird. Stop playing with people's emotions. That's what weirdos do on the internet after divorce. Don't do that. Let's go to the phones. Mike in Macedonia, you're next up on the Fan. Hello.
How's it going, guys?
Not terrible, Mike. Go ahead.
Well, let me start this. I was a Cavs fan for the longest time. I used to listen to Tate on the radio with my grandpa back in the day. Big LeBron fan. LeBron leaves Cleveland. I'm still a Cavs fan. LeBron comes back to Cleveland. I lose all respect for Dan Gilbert, for all that. And at this time, I live in California. I'm a Warriors fan. So I was glad seeing the Warriors beat the Cavs all those times.
Why did you lose respect for Dan Gilbert?
Yeah, why'd you? So you became a Warriors fan?
The letter. I respected him for putting out the letter, saying how he wanted to win a championship without LeBron and all that, and he caved just to get LeBron back, just to, you know.
That was a good move. They won a championship.
I put a more of a pride thing on him, man.
Sometimes you got to swallow your pride in life, man.
Mike, you're a man who holds a grudge, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Damn.
It's just sports, man.
If you're willing to hold a grudge over that, if you actually wronged Mike, I feel bad for you because he's going to hold that against you for the rest of his life, man. Holy potato salad. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was down there holding signs when the decision was down, you know. So I really, like I said, I took it to heart. And if he goes to the Warriors, I will really be disappointed. I probably wouldn't watch much Warrior basketball. I would really not appreciate it.
I didn't think we were going to get that perspective, Mike. Thank you very much for the call. That's a hell of a look at it.
I'm glad he's honest.
My gosh.
I just can't. I feel bad. He missed out on some of the most remarkable events of a Cleveland sports fan, one of which being the return. There is not one person I know who doesn't remember exactly where they were for the return. And for him to miss out on that. And then, of course, the amazing run back to the finals in 2015, then 2016 coming back from 3 down. These are amazing moments in our lives.
Well, that's why we're easy pigeons. That's why we never, in any serious argument, we never win them. Because I can't hold a grudge, and you can't either. We get mad at if we've ever been mad at each other, it's mad for 5 minutes, and if we've ever been mad at anybody else, it's been for 5 minutes. Because I hate awkwardness.
I guess I have no pride. It's funny. He said you got to have pride. I guess I don't have any. Dan Gilbert admits that it was a dumb thing. I have the headline here: the infamous letter. Dan Gilbert admits was a stupid thing.
Boy. But there's somebody else in Cleveland media still won't talk to me years after. Now it's just got to stay. I can't hold a grudge. Mike can hold a grudge. These callers, maybe they can hold a grudge. Well, maybe Baskin and Phelps will take them. I'm sure they'd like to take the calls. Talk to Baskin and Phelps. They will take your call. Thanks to Joe Thomas, who joined us today. He was excellent. Very interesting conversation about the quarterback competition. Justin Termini, awesome as always. Hear both those interviews, 923thefan.com. We're back tomorrow, 6 to 10. For Kayla, for Big Country, for Jeff, for John, for Lima, I'm Ken Carman. Have a wonderful day, friends. Go Guardians. Boy, do they need a win. Let's go. Hey.
Sounds good.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.